Cairns coming off arguably the biggest scalp of the season as they take on the Sydney Kings tonight, who are vulnerable after that loss to the Perth Wildcats. Total points is quite high, coming off two very high-scoring games on the weekend, but we know that the Sydney Kings can play quickly. For my same-game multi, I'm taking Patrick Miller for points over. He's coming off a 32-10 game. DJ Hogue for rebounds and Denzel Valentine for those triples. In his last 3 out of 4 outings, he scored 3+. We're off to far north Queensland. Enjoy the hoops.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Valentine for 3. Valentine answers back from deep. That's a massive hit. Big time from Jalen Adams. And the jam. How about this from Jonah Bolden?
Okay, Mr. Bolden.
Always knocking down big shots.
Bolden throws it down and gives him some advice.
There's Bobby Clintman flying in the air. Here's Clintman to the rack. Mr. Jim McCall has had a good night shooting the ball. Inside for Josh Roberts. Spectacular.
Long shot, the bottom of the net from Bull Qual. And Miller knocks down another 2. He's got 30.
Welcome to the Hungry Jacks NBL tip-off. Your round 10 gets underway as the Cairns Taipans play host to the Sydney Kings. The Kings, who are coming off back-to-back losses, the back-to-back champions. It's unfamiliar territory for them at the Cairns Taipans. Adam Ford said the one thing he wants to get out of this team is to get out of playing inconsistent basketball. They did that against Melbourne United last time around with a record-breaking performance. But I'm flanked by NBL superstar Mitch Creek and ex-NBL superstar, current superstar analyst Peter Hooley, who joins me for the broadcast.
Yeah, thanks, Felix. I'm looking forward to this game because, I mean, the Taipans, they're hot after last week. I mean, no bigger scalp right now than taking down Melbourne United. We look at the Mitsubishi Motors ladder. It's the way they did it which was so impressive, which we'll talk about. And the Sydney Kings, they're still trying to figure out how to get on a consistent level, both offensively and defensively, but more importantly on the defensive end. But I think they come out in a different kind of style, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, Creaky.
Yeah, look, it's always going to be one of those matchups where Sydney's offense is so strong, their defense has lacked just a little bit, and you see the power that Cairns possesses. And I think what they've done is they found their niche, they know who they are, and they're in for a big one tonight. So I'm excited for this one, boys.
Well, Adam Ford will certainly be happy with the performance against United. Maybe not the loss to the Brisbane Bullets there in the Sunshine Stoush, but I'll tell you what, it was dominant from start to finish. Peter Hooley, you could not be more happy with this if you're Adam Ford, the way they played.
Well, they're the best defensive team in the competition. Melbourne United is second best rated, but the way that they managed to score at will, so they shot 62.5% from the field. Yes, they got hot, but it was the looks they got, how easy they got some good looks. They got open threes, they knocked them down. They had a change in the starting lineup, which was crucial. A lot of people were calling for that. It just wasn't yet too many non-shooters. 4 non-shooters who are struggling right now. And then Bull Qual, Adam Ford made a change. One of the biggest changes he made was inserting Josh Roberts, who we hadn't seen a whole lot of, and he was enormous.
Josh Roberts, the previous 8 games before Melbourne United, averaging 6 minutes. Started against Melbourne United at 22 points. Mitch Creek, he was fantastic.
It's amazing what happens when you get given a little bit of that leash and you just go for a run with it. We saw what he did in that game. He was absolutely enormous, finishing around the basket. His defensive pressure and intensity was A1. You couldn't stop him. Plays like that is what gets your team going. And for the Cairns Taipans to see that performance after little stints, this is what he's done at practice every day, I reckon. And now we're seeing the shine of it on the big stage.
Well, Peter Hooley, the new commodity for us is Josh Roberts. We expect to see him make a big impact again tonight, but the known commodity has been Patrick Miller throughout the year. And maybe it's just me, but some of these numbers, if they keep winning, can look towards an MVP campaign.
I mean, he's been awesome. He's been the most consistent, most outstanding performer for the Taipans, no doubt. When healthy, 19 points a game, 6 assists. He had 30 and 10 last week, and the only other player to do that for Cairns is his mate, Tajir McCall. It's crazy to think he was supposed to be the backup point guard for this team. That's why he was recruited. He's playing like a superstar, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in action.
Well, Sydney in the past have built their personality as road warriors, going on streaks. This year, not so much, Mitch Creek. 3 wins, 5 losses, and those 3 wins, if you dig deep into them, weren't as impressive as you would hope.
And they're not against the big teams. They're not the powerhouse ones. You have some teams right there that aren't going to be fighting for finals at the end of the season. But as you can see here, defense wins championships. And right now, they're ranked 7th We need to get that up. The boys need to sit down in stands, guard your yard, take a bit of pride on that end. And if you do that as a team, as a collective, and you get rid of that old history back into your defensive system, you're going to be okay. You win a few more games.
We've got to remember this team is back-to-back champions. I've no doubt they'll be able to turn that defensive rating around. Jonah Bolden was more than impressive. Back to his best, it seemed, against the Perth Wildcats. Hoolig.
Jeez, he looked good. 28 points. I mean, he shot the lights out from deep. And this is the Jonah Bolden, and a lot of talk on social media. But we do forget that he's playing the NBA, and he made his name known in there. And it's just good to see him back. I'm a little bit shocked of how quickly he's come back into this form, considering he's away from the game for a while.
How quickly they forget. The starting lineup for the Cairns Taipans, the changed starting lineup since last week. Tajir McCall, Patrick Miller, Jonah Antonio, the sharpshooter, Josh Roberts, and Bull Kowal, of course, lining up for the Cairns Taipans as they look to get the win here over the Sydney Kings. A much-needed win for the Taipans. Jalen Adams, DJ Hogue, Alex Tui, Denzel Valentine, and Geordie Hunter, who's had an interrupted season through injuries, finally starting to get his foot back in the league. Peter Hooley, Mitch Creek, who wins and why?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, you normally like to say Cairns on their home floor, but again, I know it's the Road Warriors or whatever we talk about the Kings, and it's been against them, but I think they come out pretty strong here, and I think they might get it done.
I think I'm against you here, Pete. I think Cairns are going to take the momentum from Melbourne United, stay home after a loss against Brizzy, and they're going to win at home.
We're not doing that today.
By double digits tonight.
Relax. We're swiping away at each other. We're not doing that.
Big call, Craig. Big call, Craig. Don't forget, it's DC Multiverse round. If you have a look at the scoreboard there, we got some of your favourite superheroes just working in action. Heroes on the court and heroes off the court. As the Cairns Taipans look to get away with it. Straight to Adams, who has it stripped immediately off the knee of Patrick Miller.
I don't mind that first whistle. I mean, the first whistle was before all of this was to tell Bullcall and DJ Hogue to stop slapping each other away. These are old teammates. There's a bit of history there. There was nothing more in that, and I'm expecting there to be a little bit of chirpiness throughout this game.
And that's what Bullcall does. He starts the games with a lot of pressure and defensive intensity. As Roberts,
the man we speak of right there, Josh Roberts, inserted into the starting lineup last game, and he's made his presence felt immediately. Now, he was humbled by Adam Ford in the press conference, which we'll have a little bit look at later. But straight after his great game, Mitch Creek, he was told, you know, you got to keep your head on. You got to keep your head on straight.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think if you're 40, and if I was him in that situation, I'm actually kind of pumping his tyres a little bit. And maybe afterwards you tell him to reel it back in. But you have a guy like that who hasn't played a whole lot. You want to keep boosting his confidence, and then you keep him on the straight and narrow, and he's doing a good job with the rest of the team. I think it's about him now just having a really good game tonight and backing up his performance.
Taipans open the account, draw first blood. Hunter. Can't find anything. Pushing and shoving on the baseline.
There they are again.
I tell you what, this is something now Bullcall's going to have to really watch, because it's been a couple of weeks now where he's picking up a lot of fouls off the ball. We know how physical he is off the ball, and if you don't want to look at anything too far back, look at the game against the Wildcats with him, Bryce Cotton. You hear what they're saying to him right now. They're holding each other, but he's got to be really careful, because this is the way he likes to play, and he has a knack now of picking up early fouls, and could have very well been another one. There's a good little read there from DJ Hogue. That's his first bucket back in his old home floor.
And he's such a lifeblood for their defensive rating, I think. We see how good he is. We know what kind of player, but defensively, he's got to be the guy that stays out of foul trouble and stays in the game to win them more possessions.
Jonah Antonio, not one that you want to leave open. McCall in the corner. Can't get that one to fall, and Hogue's going to take it away.
Very interesting first two defensive possessions from the Kings. They're in a zone now. DJ Hogue tries to kick that one out. Valentine, we know he can stroke it from outside. That's a good start for the Kings, but this 2-3 zone, this is a team that's been really trying to ramp up their switching defense and try and figure that out. They haven't so far. They're giving up 93.6 points per game. That is worst in the league. Illawarra second worst at 91. I think this zone would have been interesting potentially against the old starting lineup of this Taipans unit. So far it's working, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
That's always the danger you play when you run a zone. It's a great zone until people start hitting shots. They find Valentine looks to go back-to-back from the outside, turns it down. Hogue fights his way through the paint, shifts and shakes, can't get that to fall. Gets it back and goes straight through the rim for an and one.
You see the presence with Roberts there. He gets the block again. He's already got energy in this game, and I think this is the spark that Cairns need, but you've got to kind of box out these other guys. If you don't, do your work early, as you see the big block there by Roberts. Fumbles back into Hogue's hands, and good strong finish for two.
16.7 points per game, 41% from three, DJ Hogue. He's got that shoulder heavily strapped. He did miss a whole lot of time, and I think a lot of this slow defensive start and identity under Mahmoud now for the Kings is because they've, like Jalen Galloway went out, DJ Hogue was out to start, and they kind of switched. When you're continuously having to change roles, and especially on the defensive end, and implementing this new defensive strategy, it's hard to get everybody on the same page. And I think that's what the growing pains they're going through.
Strong start to the Kings as Cairns try to work their way through this zone. Skip pass to Antonio's no good. Hogue takes it away. Hogue using his body once again to get through the paint. It's proving to be a pain in the paint, Pete Hawley.
He's just looking at every Cairns uniform and thinking it's a bullseye right now, and he is just attacking them. And there you go. No surprise, we're going to see a quick timeout here from Adam Ford, because it's not just the 8 points that Kings have scored, it's that an old player used to be under his own watch, DJ Hogue, is giving them some business right now.
It is red rag to a bull, that orange Taipans jersey for DJ Hogue right now. The Sydney Kings, Hawley, I'll put it to you, that obviously we spoke earlier in the program about, as we get to a snooze timeout, the defensive issues for them. And we saw the graphic over the last 10 years, a team has not won outside of that top 3 defensively. Is there changes? What's the exact changes you want to see from the Sydney Kings in order for them to lift that defensive efficiency?
I actually think they've got enough personnel and enough depth on this roster where they could be a really elite one-on-one, just man-to-man, just the common defense we see, and really lock into that. When Mahmoud came in and decided to take over this, as we have a look, so this is what you're talking about, Felix, that the reigning champions have always been in the top 3 defensive rating. The Kings right now are 7th, and they want to do this switching defense where basically you switch everything all the time. If you get that right and everybody's on the same page, it can be incredibly successful, and they could just run away with it as being such an elite defensive team. It hasn't been there consistently enough, and the problem is when it's that and you break down, teams are going to score on you easily, and that's why they're giving up 94 a game.
It's a hard one because you want to sit in front and defend your yard, but at the same time, when you've got guys who are very talented, they can shoot the ball, put it on the deck. You've got guys that can really attack and create for other players. You have to make a decision. What are you going to live by? What are you going to die by? And right now, I think Sydney are kind of in the middle of trying to figure out what they want to get beaten and what they want to let up. And I think they've got to make that choice. Is it threes? Is it on the rim? And they don't really have the presence of our centres. As you see Geordie in and out of the lineups, and a Hogue who's not 6'9", 6'10", blocking shots. You have to make a decision.
Well, plenty for the Cairns Taipans to work out getting through this zone. Alice Kunek was listening intently to the timeout.
So Alice soon, and we've got some early burgers. We've got some early burgers from the ex-Cairns fan now. He's got some friends up there soon,
but Jam is the code. Early in the piece, the free cheeseburgers are given away. Give that code away right there. Jam down to your local Hungry Jack's for a free cheeseburger. Pete Hawley has pulled Kowal from outside, 0 for 2 early. Isn't able to get that to go, and right now, the Cairns Taipans struggling. We said that the Sydney Kings needed to fix it on the defensive end, and they look to have found a way early with this zone.
Yeah, it's really disrupting Cairns right now. They're kind of in that jump shot mentality, and they've got to really get feet in the paint. It's Geordie Hunter finds the range early, and that's a great sign if you're a Sydney Kings fan.
The big man doing it from the inside and the outside. We now cross to Alice Kunek courtside to see how Cairns are going to fix this issue.
Good evening, guys, and what a great atmosphere it is in the Cairns Convention Centre. Now, Adam Ford wanted his team to really guard the paint, but obviously that kick out to Geordie Hunter is exactly not what he wanted. But conversely, on the other end, if I'm a shooter, which obviously we know I am in this league, my eyes would be lighting up in this zone.
Well, it's tempting them to shoot right now. That's an unbelievable pass from Pat Miller to his mate, Jim McCall, and that's what you have to watch. So Jim McCall's not going to float around the three-point line. We know he has had his struggles. He's actually shooting 40% from 3. What a pass there from Jalen Adams. To the next star, Alex Tuitt. They're falling in love with the 3. They've taken 5 shots from the field. 3 of those have been threes. This is what the zone is designed to do. Right now, they're kind of falling into the trap. So Pat Miller tees on up.
Can't get that one to fall, and just struggling early from the three-point line. They've had success getting inside, but it's easier said than done. The kick back, Adams, straight back to Valentine. He's hit 1, make that 2, and the Kings hot early from the outside.
That's a bad sign right now if you're a Cairns Taipans fan. When you see the best shooter on the floor have 2 wide-open looks in the first quarter, it could be a very long night.
McCall, no luck. Finds Antonio in the corner. Can't get that one to fall. The woes continue.
Tell you what, 0-5 now, but Denzel Valentine dodged the bullet. You've got to let Sam Wardenberg shoot that one as DJ Hogue continues his hot start, but you can't let Jonah Antonio tee off from the corner when you have a choice. It's hard when you're in the fast motion of the game, but you've got to kind of pick your poison.
DJ Hogue just having his way right now with the Taipans. He's already up to 7 points as Miller just stems the bleeding for a moment. 11-point lead remains for the Kings. A little over 5 minutes remain in the first.
He's so strong. Like, it's actually really impressive to play against someone like that. He's so, I guess, you know, low to the ground, center of mass, but he's strong. That's a point guard going against the center, and he's still winning that battle.
I remember the first game called of his with Ryan Brockhoff, who used to play with on his team in Europe, and was telling us that he basically hasn't lifted weights in his professional career because he pulls on muscle too quickly.
That's a nice problem.
Yeah,
it would be a great problem to have.
It's a solid problem to have, Pete Hawley. I don't think I've ever struggled with that one myself. It's always the guys that say that are working hard. It's like the old math test. Oh, I didn't even study, but you got 99%.
What a
There's
pass.
Galloway right through the middle. And right now, the Cairns Taipans with a world of issues. Not only finding their points, as we look at the Harvey Norman replay of this one, Jonah Bolden with a sweet pass through the middle, and Galloway, bang, and one.
You just got to be solid right there. I think Cairns are really trying to do too much. They got to keep guys in front. They've done an amazing job of just switching and making everybody shoot over the top of them. And right now, they're just trying to do a little too much to try and make up this buffer.
Galloway can't convert the and one. Miller, who's been pressing through the paint all game, gets that one through to Klintman, who says, whatever you could do, I could do one better.
This has real pickup game vibes right now.
11-point lead to the Kings. Right now, are your issues more on the defensive end or the offense end for the Taipans, Creaky?
Look, I think right now, offensively, we're taking a lot of three-pointers. Sydney Dial-Up missed that one, but Cairns are really just falling in love with the three-point line. They just need to relax a little bit, move the ball quickly, get some paint penetration. The guys on the low blocks, you know, the low dunker areas for Cairns just need to keep finding those little gaps and windows, keep moving the ball, and they'll get some great looks.
Boy, well, as you say, goodness, it's 0 for 3 early from Bull Kowal from the outside and just playing into the hands of the Kings right now.
Well,
Valentine.
That was like Mayan checking into the game, and he's one of their better three-point shooters. I say that, he shoots 47% from three now, but that's just not a good shot to take. When the team's 0 of 5 and the Kings are trying to tempt you to shoot the three, you check into the game and you shoot a contested one. I'm not sure that's going to make Adam Ford too happy when on the other end you've given up 20 points. As Jalen Galloway's going to add to that 22 points. They're getting layups and open threes right now. The Kings, they've got 4.5 minutes to Taipans. Otherwise, this is going to be a spray from Adam Ford at quarter time.
This might be an all-time spray, and I hope we get a bit of it, because this is going to be something that needs to happen. This needs to happen right now.
Audio Pat's on, and he
Man, again with the early shot from the outside. Doesn't get that one to go.
And have a look.
And Adam Ford calls for the immediate sub. The Kings with a stranglehold on this game in the first quarter. A little over 4 minutes remain as Tui, the next star, gets all the way through for the easy lay-in.
Got to be a timeout.
And the story of the quarter so far has been the Sydney Kings without resistance, getting to the rack time and time again as we go to a snooze timeout.
Well, I thought this could even be a standing timeout. Look at Adam Ford. He's just trying to figure out what's going on. 24 points. We haven't even played 6 minutes.
Well, Jonah Bolden was the man of the moment against the Perth Wildcats. Alice Kunak caught up with him earlier.
You've had a 3-year break away from playing the game. Is Paris 2024 the goal for you?
Honestly, I haven't thought about it too much. Like I said, taking it day by day, just coming back and getting my feet and body and mind all kind of put together. But yeah, of course, like that's definitely there in the back of my mind, and it's something to look forward to. Getting back to being myself on the court.
Well, he was special against the Wildcats, and we've got to remember where he came from. He was a rotation player in Philadelphia. He was a legitimate NBA player, chose to give that up and move over and move into the crypto space it was for a while there, which was an interesting move. And a lot of people judged it and said, is this the right move? But it hasn't taken him long to get back to what appears to be some of his best basketball.
It's a big choice to make, and a lot of people at home may not understand that, but as a professional athlete, there is a lot more to the game than just playing here on a Thursday night in front of a great sold-out Cairns Taipans arena. But you know, it's his choice, and I think if he's happy with that choice, and now he's got his feet wet again, as he said, his mind, his physical body, he's starting to play great basketball. The Australian Boomers jersey might be something you want to aspire to again. That's amazing, that's inspirational, and he's doing it his way, and you've got to be proud of that.
I tell you what, at the start, they would have... Anyone saying that he would potentially be on the radar for Paris, it'd be crazy, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities with the trajectory that he's on after coming back out of retirement. He's been unbelievable and probably a top 2 six-man of the year candidate right now.
Wardenberg looks to work, who's just fallen away from the rotation a little bit as Klintman drives through the middle, finds Miller, the big body, uses every inch of it right there to get the bucket. As we throw down to Alice Kunek, who was involved in that timeout, which I expect was animated from Adam Ford, Alice.
It was very animated, Felix, but he was pretty calm. He said every time we get the ball inside the paint, something good happens. As you can see, easy cut to the ring for Pat Miller just then. But conversely, he said on the defensive end, what do you want me to do, guys? You guys need to lock down defensively and you've got to keep them out of the middle.
It's spot on. You know, when you've got penetration, layup, blow by, open the lane up, you just have to sit down. I think right now they're setting the tone. You can see the intensity, everyone's up, but you've got to stay down, you've got to wall up, you've got to get some stops.
Kings swing the ball up top. Adams looks to work. Gets the... Can't get that one to fall. Wardenberg away, and the Taipans look to push. Klintman straight through, but Jonah Bolden too big and too strong. He'll take it away. And Adams with a beautiful pass down low.
That is an absolutely beautiful...
Galloway and a poster just went missing.
The body control. Look like an old Felix von Hoff.
Most certainly a derogatory comment. Wardenberg gets that one blocked on the outside. Bolden once again comes up with the board.
0 of 8 from 3. You'd almost, if you're out of 4, you're going to be tempted to tell the team, just put it away, because when they've got the ball inside, as Bolden tries to keep off from last week, that's short. Anytime they get the ball into the high post or low post area, they're getting wide open layups. They're 0 of 8 from outside, and they're 5 of 6 from inside the three-point line.
Taron Armstrong into the game, of course, one of the most storied rookies coming into the league. Hasn't really seen too much of the hype come to fruition, but again, we've seen how quickly some of these rookies can get themselves into the games. Taron, little step back. Can't get that one to fall, make it 0 for 9. On what I will say, Mitch Creek, has been tough shots.
Yeah, look, there's not really a whole bunch of offense going right now. They keep throwing up the early one, 3-4 seconds into the shot clock as Mr. Sean Bruce.
Sydney Kings.
Sydney bench, that hurts.
If Cairns Taipans were the dominant team last week, well, the Sydney Kings have picked up where they left off and are absolutely handing it to the Taipans in the early stage of this one. There's another 2 minutes to go as Klintman looks to save the day from outside, continues their woes from outside as Adam Ford pleads to get the ball inside. Adams from deep. Oh boy. That one doesn't go.
This zone's been a stroke of genius, hasn't it, right now from Mahmoud? He's brought it in as that's...
Klintman using the body, gets that one for an easy 2. But as you say, Pete, people wanted change. They wanted change on the defensive end, and they've provided it.
Right now, for Cairns, the best way that they can beat this zone is to get stops themselves, where the Kings can't get it set up. Because every time they're setting up a zone, someone's taking an ill-advised 3, and they're just going down the other end and getting whatever they want.
Galloway from outside. That one can't fall. The Kings have just dried up a touch from the outside. Cairns unable so far to take advantage. Wardenberg.
I think if you're Sam Wardenberg right now, you've got to get your hands on the ball. He's been a little bit out of the rotation, as you said before, Felix. Sydney.
Galloway throws it down. Alice Kunek, courtside.
Guys, I've never seen a zone silence a crowd like this one has. But if I'm the Cairns Taipans, the only way to beat that zone, if you guys get stops defensively and then you're able to run the floor, it takes Sydney out of that zone pretty instantly.
Yeah, spot on, Alice. That's what I was insinuating was right now their zone offense is non-existent. So the best thing they can do is just try and get stops and lock in defensively and not even give them a chance to set it up. And to be honest, it's just a very obvious, very simple 2-3 zone. There's nothing special about it. They're just tempting them to shoot the 3, and they're just falling into the trap.
Taipans continue to struggle, over 10 from the three-point line, struggling to penetrate into the zone. We saw a turnover on their attempt last time as Armstrong, again with nowhere to go, takes the penetration through the middle, can't get it to fall. Wardenberg the rebound and a much-needed bucket for the Taipans. Adams. 17 on the shot clock, a 2-second differential. Penetrates in, throws it up. Adams can't get the oop to go, but he's going to go to the free throw line. 9 seconds remain for the Taipans to answer back. A 16-point lead in this first term, far away from the Cairns Taipans. We saw Pete Hooley against Melbourne United last week.
I mean, obviously one thing, they're not knocking down shots, but as we keep harping on about, we sound like a broken record. They're just giving it to Sydney whatever they want. Sydney want you to take quick shots and launch from three, and they've been doing that. And down the other end, they've had 2 good defensive possessions where they just locked up man-to-man and got some steals and got down the other end. Pat Miller got a layup, albeit contested, but besides that, as soon as Sydney turn the corner off a simple screen, they're either getting a layup or they're getting one kick-out open 3-ball. They're shooting 68% from the floor, Sydney, in this first quarter, 50 from 3, and they've missed a couple at the free throw line, so they are just dominating this right now.
And you speak on that, that's a high percentage where Cairns are 35% from the field, 0 of 11 from the land of plenty.
Taipan struggling from the outside, Armstrong. 5 seconds remain. The big fella from the outside, Maniga, can't get that one to go. Galloway will get one last shot at it. That one won't fall. A dominant first quarter from the Kings. If you're going to have Superman on your jersey, you better back it up and play like that. We'll be back with the second quarter right after this.
It's time to play. Taipans wants the prize. A $50 gift card is up for grabs.
Now, if you think this whistle is $4.50, simply show a dribbling style. If you think it is $7, show us a dunk. But if you think it's $4.50, you're going to show us your dribble technique. See yourself on the big screen, you will pat yourself a $50 gift card. Thanks to Taipans. I think we found the winner, yeah? We may have found the winner. Put your hands together, what's your name? This is Matt Commander up here in the rafters. We've got a fantastic view up here. He's won himself a $50 gift card thanks to Kmart. Check out all the low prices right at your local Kmart. Let's get behind the Taipans.
We're excited to welcome Mitsubishi Motors back this season. Fans are also celebrating in stadium with the Mitsubishi Motors three-pointer foam hands, and a range of prizes are up for grabs every week, including a brand new Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. Whole lot of prizes up for grabs, I'll tell you what. But right now, the prize that is most wanted is the win tonight, and the Cairns Taipans right now just struggling a little.
Well, I'm thankful for Mitsubishi for sure, and I think they're thankful for the Sydney Kings. Otherwise, that read wouldn't be possible with the way the Taipans are shooting the ball. They're 0 of 12 from 3 and continue to jack it up. I'll be very interested to know exactly what Adam Ford was saying in quarter time, because anytime they've got anyone at the high post, so we're trying to feed that to the low post, things have opened up, whether it's been a layup, and that's the 3 you want to take. It's not the one where you pass around the perimeter when you bring it over the half-court line. It's getting inside, then out, have your feet set, and then launch. You're going to hit them eventually, but it's these ill-advised quick threes that are just falling into Sydney's lap, and they're going down the other end and scoring at will.
Well, the Kings running that zone to perfection so far, out of bounds on Wardenberg, and it's go back the way of the Kings. Not the start that the Taipans were looking for.
Thanks for my sponsor, Studio Pilates.
It really is a stroke of brilliance, though, Felix. Sorry to catch you off there. Just mixing that zone up and just shifting the middle guy in the back of the zone. It looks like he's coming up with any of the ball screens. And because that's been Jalen Galloway in the first quarter, it's really made it hard because they're just switching at the top and they're just saying, shoot the ball over us. And as Pete said before, you've got to get short corner, high post. When the zone collapses, then you can kick it out. But Sydney Kings,
the dream start for the Sydney Kings. Adams from the three-point line doing what the Taipans have struggled to do. Menenga straight through the middle, gets that one to go, a much-needed bucket and one. And the success for the Taipans and their road back into this game appears to be straight through the middle of the court as we head courtside to Alice Kunak.
Now, guys, I know we've spoken a lot about the shooting percentage of Cairns, 0 of 13 from the three-point line, but that opens up to offensive rebounds, and that's what Cairns need to do. They need to crash the offensive boards. I know the Sydney timeout really just spoke about we have to box out. They said they can't beat this zone.
Sam Menenga has certainly fallen out of his lineup somewhat over the last couple of weeks, scoreless for the past few games, finding his way back into it tonight when they probably need him the most, Hurley.
Yeah, well, they need everybody to step up right now, but the offensive rebounds in Sydney are the worst in the competition today. They give up 14.5 per game. They only gave up 1 in that first quarter, so they've figured that out, and it is hard to do against the zone, is to box out and not give up too many O boards, but I thought I'd be thrilled with the way things have looked, but we've seen these, not in the zone, but we've seen these patches from Sydney early in NBL24. We just haven't seen it sustained throughout the course of the game, so that'll be the thing that Mark Wood and the Sydney Kings are trying to keep their foot on, is we need to keep this up for 10 minutes at a time and put together 40 minutes of basketball like this.
Valentine can't keep his feet, gives it away to Adams, who in a loose ball shuffle, Jordan Hunter comes up with the bucket. Everything falling the way of the Kings at the moment. Armstrong straight through the middle, gets the contact, can't get it to fall, but he's going to the line for 2. And Taran Armstrong, you know, a guy that we've seen how good he can be in the college basketball programs, and sometimes for a guy like that, we'll see if you agree with me here, Pete, that when they don't have full control of a team, it's a little bit tougher to adjust.
Yeah, it is, and again, we spoke about it a bit off the top, so Taran Armstrong was recruited by Adam Ford to be the starting point guard of this team. It took him out of college. He only played the 2 years at Cal Baptist and had the choice of whether to go and transfer up to a high school. He would have had a lot of offers. He was unbelievable in those 2 years at college. And Adam Ford said, look, I want you to come and run this Taipans team. What hurts that? He got injured at the start with that foot injury. When you get injured at the start of that, and then Pat Miller, who was supposed to be your backup, comes in and has dominated in that starting space, when you come back in and have to play alongside him, all of a sudden you're trying to figure out your role late as a rookie and as a youngster. That makes that so much harder to adjust to than it would just be coming from college.
And trying to adjust into a new team, a new franchise, a professional league, going away from, you know, the amateur sport of, you know, I'm not saying collegiate basketball or any other basketball is below the NBL, but it's not the professionalism. You don't have the paycheck, you don't have the expectation, and when you have that injury mentally, it's really hard to kind of get out of that little hole. Now he's got his feet back in the rotation. I think it's key for him to really be solid on offense, solid on defense, communicate well, and help run this team and get these boys in a really good position on both ends of the floor.
No doubt Taran Armstrong is going to be a superstar in this league at some point. Just finding his feet at the moment is Jalen Adams, someone who's already found his feet. Looks to get on this one, can't get the board. Wayward and the Taipans will have another chance to just eat in to this 19-point lead as we cross to Alice Kunak, courtside.
Now, guys, we've all been players, and Mitch, you're obviously still playing. Coach Abdul Fattah has made a significant change to their defensive lineup. Obviously, they were doing a lot of switching, but they don't have the likes of Xavier Cooks anymore to really throw things up. How would you guys find being part of this zone? I know personally, I would like playing zone for full 40 minutes.
Yeah, look, it's a nice one there. If you're playing zone, that's a long stretch back from Sydney. That was from Olympic Park. DJ Hogue.
Better get your parking ticket out there. DJ Hogue, he's on fire early for the Kings. It's Klinkman again through the middle for the Taipans is where they're having success.
They can't trade buckets. They just got to lock in and get consecutive stops to the Taipans, and they got to get a hand to DJ Hogue. He's in the double figures already. 10 points against his former team.
Jonah Bolden with the interesting save. Hogue, the man on fire, 10 points early in this one. Looking to work on the smaller Armstrong. Can't get that to go again from outside the Kings. That one's unlucky. And Armstrong takes it away. Straight through the middle. Gets that one to fall. The Taipans for the first time in a while. Back-to-back buckets.
That looks like the Achilles heel for the Kings right now, defensive transition. Anytime they get a stop, the Taipans, or a miss, they're just running it down the other end and they're getting layups, they're getting good looks.
Right now, the Sydney Kings finding their range from the outside. Some of the Cairns Taipans, certainly, with the way they're shooting on the opposite end, do not want to see Mitch Creek.
Yeah, when that guy's getting hot right there, you know you're in a world of hurt. They move the ball so well, and as we've seen, it's a tough one.
One possession at a time, right? We dug ourselves a hole. We're working our way out of it. We got to be clean. They're staying persistent with this zone. A little bit of ball movement can help break the back of that zone, right? And anytime you fucking dribble to where the defense isn't, they collapse in. Again, having guys in one of our 7 spots, we're finding those fucking opportunities. Don't loiter.
Well, the man with the beeper must be on holidays early.
Well, yeah, but you do get a little adjectives thrown in when you're down 20 early on.
You come to get used to that down 23 to 41. You could probably excuse Adam Ford for being a little bit less than romantic with his language.
To be honest, he's not too fired up because I think he's found little certain pieces of what they can do well, and that's going to be getting stops and not letting them set up this zone. Until you get to halftime, maybe draw up some plays, have a bit more time to try and attack it, because right now, whatever Sydney want to do offensively, 41 points with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter is outrageous.
And we're seeing every time they get feet in the paint, something good happens. And 40 talked about that before, and that's the Achilles heel, as you said before, Pete. Get the feet in the paint, move the ball, spray it out, then you might have your wide open threes, because right now, 0-13 is not getting it done. So get downhill, get on that rim.
The Cairns Taipans for the first time in a while coming off back-to-back buckets here. Can they build on that? Will the Kings continue to push this lead open? A little over 7 minutes remain. As Tui looks to get the offense started. A little more pressure from the Taipans. Valentine from outside. He's hit one already. Can't get that to fall. Miller's had success inside. And he's going to look to work. A little too handsy from Jonah Bolden. And Sam Menega has been a small, somewhat shining light compared to his previous few games, Peter Hooley.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about a change had to happen defensively for the Kings. A change had to happen with the lineups for the Taipans because they just weren't finding anything that clicked. And again, before they made that starting lineup change, you take out Paul Quall, who was shooting 40% from 3, and you had an average of between your other 4 starters. I think it was like 14.5% from 3. That's just not going to get it done in the NBL. As Armstrong, that's a long contested 2. That's way off again, kind of giving it to the Kings. And now they go the other way and try and go back up 20 plus.
Kings continue to force the Taipans into questionable shots. Just haven't been able to find that consistent look through the middle as Valentine from outside gets that one to go. And the bleeding continues. 21-point lead. Little over 6 to go in the second quarter for the Kings. Coming off back-to-back losses. Looking to get back to their back-to-back championship ways.
And right now, 7 of 14 from long range. 50%. That's a great clip. If you're Sydney right now, you've got to keep getting them up, but they're getting them everywhere right now. Cairns really need to sit down and defend, and that is not the person you want to leave open.
Sean Bruce, customary, chasing down the offensive rebound. Doesn't get that one right now, but, you know, we're almost as close as you can get. The alarm bells are ringing for the Taipans at panic stations right now. With a little over 5 minutes remaining. Mitch Creek, the biggest change that you need to see.
Someone needs to step up. This is someone right now, I think, is Tajir McCall. He's been their barometer defensively for the past few seasons. That's what he's known for. But him, Patrick Miller, Bull Quall, that's where they hang their hat. And right now, they're not stepping up. They're not putting their hand up. I haven't seen a huddle right now where they come in, someone's spraying someone else, someone's holding each other accountable, but they're hurting themselves offensively as well. Quick shot, first 5 seconds, no pass offense. That's not going to get it done, and that's going to make life really hard going the other way on defense.
Pat Miller kind of looked shocked that he was so open, but there's a reason. It's, oh my goodness, Denzel Valentine. Well, that would have been on a twister cover there.
We'll cross to Alice Kunek, courtside.
Guys, I'd like to talk about the shot selection of Cairns. You know, Mitch, you just spoke about it. There are just too many quick shots. I think this is where they really struggle, where they don't have that big inside presence. I know the best way to beat a zone is if you kick it into the high post, you get it inside, kick it outside, and then you get your shooters even more open shots.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Alice. And I think right now, if you have Patrick Miller running the point, even your Armstrong or your Bull Quall on the wings, I think running Tajir McCall as that 4-man who floats in the center of the zone, and having someone like a Roberts or a Menenga or a Wardenberg rotating low, taking the defense low, and just letting someone like Taj play in there and be creative, at least draw some fouls and get a few different looks for Cairns.
The Taipans shooting 35% from the field against this zone, far removed from the 65% against United. It's finally a breakthrough from the outside. Bull Kuol, just the man they need to fire up.
The crowd loves it too. They were counting all the misses in a row as Jonah Bolden just tries to answer that straight back, and they give up an offensive rebound.
And that'll be a coach killer right there. The offensive rebound throws it up to Bolden, who can't get it to go.
Oh, well. There's a foul called on Meninga there.
He's going to get whistled for the foul. Took the Harvey Norman replay on this one. Peter Hooley and the much-needed breakthrough. You'd hope for the Cairns Taipans that the floodgates open.
Well, when you know you've got a Harvey Norman replay of just a pretty straightforward three, that means it's pretty significant because it's the only one that hit. 1 of 15 in the first 15 minutes of this game.
Slim pickings, a non-shooting foul on Bolden, so the Kings will take it away. Galloway from outside, can't get that to go. And McCall, can they build on the previous possession?
Oh, look at this.
A charge is called to the remonstration of the Cairns bench.
Adam Ford doesn't look like he's even going to have a look at it. He's saying he fell. He might have a point because it looked like it was an incredible move.
It's a tough challenge. The block charge is one of the toughest challenges in the game.
I think he's got a pretty... well, you can see
that's a tough one.
Sean Bruce's left foot got tangled up with Jonah Bolden. That's why he went down, because that was a beautiful move from Pat Miller.
An interesting no challenge there. I will respectfully play Switzerland on that one, but a tough one for the Taipans.
It's a hard one, and that's what Sean Bruce does, though. He does a great job of moving his feet, playing with the centre of his body, and as you can see there in the Harvey Norman replay, there was 3 Sydney jerseys in front of the ball of Patrick Miller, so move the ball right there.
The Cairns bench with an official warning for remonstrating. There's tensions just after lift, but Peter Hooley, is it one of those games where, you know, maybe a tech foul fires up the team?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they do look a little flat, no doubt about it, these Taipans players. But one thing that they should be thinking, there's been nearly every game Sydney have let the team back in when they've gone on a run like this.
Angus Glover into the game for the Kings is Sean Bruce, as you were mentioning, as previous, manages to draw Bull Kuol into a foul. And Sean Bruce, one of the experts in the league. A guy that you'd love to be on your team, but you will hate to play against him because he does just that. He's an expert at drawing those fouls.
He might be one of the star actors in the new DC comic movies coming out, I think, there, Felix. But shout out Horsham. Represent proudly. He's doing an amazing job for Sydney and putting Horsham stars on the map.
What do you think his superhero talent would be?
Irritating other people. But he does it well.
Celebrated a milestone game. He's one of the treasures of this league. As Hunter under pressure finds Glover in the corner. Pushes that middle, and again, an open player on the perimeter. Turns the shot down straight through the middle for Galloway. Too strong.
You don't mind that if you can, so that's just a tough finish. That's what they need to continue to do.
Kuol doesn't like the look from the outside. Miller finds Wardenberg. Dribbles out. And Galloway will take it away.
1 of 16 now, but that's not a bad look. When you draw a defender like Pat Miller, and Sam Wardenberg has to keep taking him with confidence. He's just 24% from 3. Doesn't hurt you there because you managed to come up with a stop, but here we go, in transition when they've been at their best.
Kuol opened the floodgates earlier from the outside. Looks to do it from the inside here. He's going to work his way to the free throw line, get to the easy way.
It looks good when they move the ball there. Shot fake, get the defender lifted, driving down the lane, 2 feet in the paint again, and something good happens. They need to keep going back to the well.
Well, of course, you look closer to the jerseys and the scoreboard for these two teams, because multiverse round is here, and your favourite Hungry Jacks NBL teams are set to rep some of the most iconic heroes ever seen. Grab your favourite heroes threads at the NBL store by just scanning that little QR code right there. Geez, Peter Hooley, technology has just come long and far. Just throwing the camera up to the TV screen these days.
Yeah, you couldn't do that with Nokia 3315, that's for sure. There was not much besides Snake you could do, and you could drop it from a tall building, it would be okay. But yeah, it's a fun round. Oh, I'm on board. I'm enjoying this.
Your thoughts on the jerseys?
I mean, I'm a big fan of when we get new jerseys all the time. I love seeing all the different designs that have come out.
Kuol gets them to go. Across to Alice Kunak, courtside.
Guys, you're just talking about the DC Multiverse round. If you guys were a superhero, who would it be?
Oh, what's about, is there a superhero out there that can delete the past? I might take one of those. I've got a 10-part series I might want to get rid of. Jalen Adams, mid-range. Can't get that to fall. Hasn't really been able to find the hoop so far. Jalen Adams. Miller again using his body, can't find a way through. Will go straight through the 19-year-old Alex Tui. Decides, you know what? That ball doesn't need to go into the basket. The fans deserve a touch.
How's the reflexes in the crowd?
That's a great catch.
That's a first slip.
Give him a baggy green. That's phenomenal.
That's coming straight from the pythons of Pat Miller as well. So that's coming with some speed.
And you love that for the next day, Alex Tui too as well. It's a lot of twos right there. Good luck almost, but he sits down in his stance, and that's a big man you got to stay in front of. And discipline, shows his hands, doesn't reach, makes him force a turnover, and that's what the NBA scout's going to be looking at as well.
Galloway just second guesses himself going through the paint. It'll go the other way.
But that's where ball qual is at his best. And he's not even in that play, but what he is, he's sitting in Jalen Adams' pocket, so they can't get the ball to their point guard to set up their offensive set. Jalen Galloway has to try and make something out of nothing. They get a turnover. It won't show up on a stat sheet, but that's why ball qual is one of the elite defenders in the league.
Miller again getting through. This one doesn't go to the crowd. It goes straight through.
Simple offense right now is getting it done. They still look a little bit out of sorts and not really sure if they're on the same page, but one page that it is working is drive the ball straight down the middle and lay it right in the hole.
Taipans have just been able to somewhat slow the Kings down over the last 5 minutes as Adams just continues to find a bit of glad wrap on the top of the rim.
Look at chess game right now, and this happens a few times with teams when you're playing against the Taipans. It's Pat Miller. That's just a big guard down low. They're playing without a true center, the Kings. Both Jonah Bolden and Jordan Hunter are sitting down as we get a timeout here from Sydney, and they're just going to match this small ball, which is sometimes you have to do against Cairns.
Well, the snooze timeout. It's into a 14-point lead right now for the Sydney Kings. Pat Miller's done a great job all night just using his body. Right now, aside from, let's just have a look at how the catch was. Bang.
Hey.
Oh, straight up top. And I reckon he got a bit of assistance from behind there, but nonetheless, that's the sort of hands you need.
It's the water boy sticky hands right there.
Well, 20 centimetres lower, and that's an unneeded Falcon on your Thursday night. Just trying to enjoy some hoops.
Right now, Mitch Creek, of course, a 14-point lead for the Kings, who've been dominant all around, but the Taipans just starting to work their way back into this game. We saw the ball qual 3 points. They finally got one on the board there. But again, Pat Miller starting to find his way through the middle. They're not out of this game.
Yeah, they're definitely not. And I think right now, 14 points is very kind. If you said you're going to be down 23, 24 points in the second quarter at the start of, you will definitely take 14 points right now with 2 minutes to go. But going into the half, if you can get this to single digits, you are going to be in an amazing, amazing position.
Look at the Blackmore shot chart right here. A lot of green. You look at that for the Cairns Taipans. Right around the rim is where they're having the success. Those red X's, you probably want a few more green, Hawley, on the outside if you're going to be walking away with a win tonight.
I mean, that's all you got. If you're at a 40, you got to show at halftime. Get whatever we want when we get in the heart of the defense behind the zone. We're getting layups. We can get to the free throw line. I mean, hit 5 or 6 from the stripe, but this is a big 2 minutes here for Sydney. As I said, they have had a habit of letting teams back in when they've played really well, and they've been the better team significantly in this first half. If they fall apart this last 2 minutes and Cairns can get this to double figure, just about 10 points or even under double figures, all that hard work can be undone very quickly.
Jalen Galloway and DJ Hogue lead the way with 10 apiece for the Sydney Kings. It's Pat Miller doing his work on the inside with 8 for the Taipans. A little over 2 minutes remain. The Sydney Kings, 14 points the better. Bolden looks to find the backdoor cut, can't get it through. The Cairns Taipans, another chance to eat into this lead. McCall gets it to Antonio outside the sniper. That one's good. And here come the Taipans, 11 points. We sat at 20 not long ago. And the half-court pressure and a turnover in the snake pit is alive once again.
That's the starting turn. That was the play they drew up in the timeout. It just wasn't there. That back door was always covered. And then right here, Jalen Adams tries to drive by, but Jonah Antonio, he shoots it better than anyone on that team from outside the Lat Mayan. Let him just stay down, and here come the Snakes.
Momentum all the way with the Snakes at the moment. McCall can't find anything on the inside. He didn't look to work against Valentine. Finds a man of the moment in Miller. Back out to McCall. As big a shot as they've had so far. Can't get that to drop. The woes continue from the three-point line as Josh Roberts tries to hunt it down. And right now, the Sydney Kings, it's been a dry offensive spell with Tui subbing out of the game, Mitch Creek.
Yeah, it certainly has, and I think right now they've just got to go back to getting a good set, good offense, no 50-50 passes, just go to your go-to play right now, and let's see what they run. But that 11-point buffer, they get it to single digits, Cairns Taipans, they're going to be smelling blood in the water coming into that second half.
Sean Bruce looking to steady the ship for the Kings. Gets it into the MVP contender's hands. He's going to go all the way to the rack.
Oh,
up and under. Jalen Adams, thank you very much.
Oh my, that is some of the most beautiful gelatin I've ever seen. That man is a wizard.
That is a frog in a pond jelly right there.
Some do it with strength and some do it with class. Jalen Adams, just when the Kings needed it, this would be a dagger from Valentine. Rims out. And the Taipans continue to hold on. 35-48. 4-second differential between the shot and the game clock. Patrick Miller leads the way with 8 points, all on the interior. Works to the mid-range, can't get that one to fall. The Taipans will get the last shot at McCall. Gets it straight to the paint, gets the foul, and one. The dream finish with 1.8 on the clock. The Kings will get a last-second heave, but the Cairns Taipans have finished this quarter in the exact fashion that Adam Ford would have wanted.
What do we speak about, Greg? The hardest thing to do in the zone is to rebound out of it and give up another offensive rebound. Just their second one they've given up this half. They are the worst in the competition at giving up offensive rebounds. They'll be happy with that, but the timeliness of this one to potentially go in with just a 10-point lead with how well they've played, not ideal.
10 points. It does still
Feels
seem like a
two.
bit of a mission, but right now it does feel like it's a tight ball game, and I think all momentum is with Cairns.
Can't get that free throw to go. A fight for the rebound. It looks like the refs
I'm just
going to talk this one over and see whether we've got point 2, point 3.
So yeah, I think I'm just going to see if we've got some more time.
Looks like it will be the Sydney Kings ball. But will it be enough time?
They're not going to be able to. It's probably going to be less than the time you can legally catch and through. Catch and shoot, which is point 3.
You know what? This game goes down to the wire. Crazy things have happened, Pete Hooley. It's DC multiverse round. If it was ever going to happen, it'd be now.
So, Wood's drawing something up, and if it's under point 3, it can only be a tip in. If it's point 3 or above, you can catch and shoot, and there's going to be. Well, that was looking like there's going to be plenty of time left.
It's a bit of a tease to the Sydney Kings fan as they put that one back up, but we are going to get point 6.
So there's enough time to catch and shoot.
Back on the clock. Cairns Taipans just warned once again. They're already on the one bench warning. Another one will result in a tech. And when you're starting to fight back into this game, the last thing you need is easy free throws on the other end. Point 6 will be put back on the clock, which again, Pete Hooley, means that you can catch the ball in motion and take a shot.
Yeah, it's not going to be a conventional looking shot. It's still going to be a quick release, but other than just like a jump and tip in or an oop, you can legally let it fly. So they're still trying to get that to point 6. That is the opposite direction to get there.
Well, we almost got there. We're up to 6. Right now, what sort of play are you looking towards? Is Adam Ford remonstrating here again?
That's not what I've been told. I was told in my ear it's point 6. Oh, thank God.
Adam Ford heard what we all heard, which was point 6.
We've been told point 6, but I'll tell you what, we can put a man on the moon, but we can't get that clock to point 6.
There we go.
There we go. We're there. We are ready to roll. One final heave.
All this for
the Kings.
Oh my, after all that!
And I'll tell you what, that is not a way to endear yourself to the officials, I'll tell you that much, if you fight to get it back on the clock and then go with that. But Pete Hooley, your quick thoughts on that first half?
I mean, that was an unbelievable first half from the Kings. This zone, it was working. The 2 of 18 from outside from Cairns is just obviously nowhere near good enough, but credit the Taipans. They love to hang around. They did that, and we've got ourselves a ball game.
We certainly do, and I think Cairns Taipans fought hard late just there, but it's too late right now just to kind of go back in and say, all right, what do we do wrong? What do we do right? But look, they've got it in the tank. They've got the guys. All momentum, I think, right now is with the Cairns Taipans. If they go out defend in the second half, they're going to be in a good position come fourth quarter.
Well, the Cairns Taipans fought back, but it's an 11-point lead to the Sydney Kings in DC Multiverse round, where on-court heroes transcend our on-screen heroes.
I'm Patrick Miller from Chicago.
Miller swooping to the hoop.
This is my 10th year pro.
Pat Miller knocks it down. He's rolling now.
I went to college, 4 years, Tennessee State, and then first year I was a rookie, I played in Turkey. My second year I came back and tried for the NBA G League, but it didn't happen, so I went to Serbia, and then from Serbia, I went back to Turkey in the same year. This is my 4th year. In my 5th year, I went to Germany. My 6th year, I went to Israel. I think I went to France. From Germany, I went to France my 6th year. 7th year, Israel. 8th year, Lithuania, and then 9th year last year was back to Germany. So, man, traveled around. Huge difference between here and Europe. I think the mood here is great. I always wanted to be here, now I'm here, so I think I'm gonna enjoy it, It's a lot of attention, especially now in the league, so why not when you want to be in the bright lights?
To Miller, and he knocks down the three.
I think at each stage, even like when I first started, I think from just being born a leader, I always was able to separate myself from the negativity and the bad things, being locked in and focused on the main goal, which is family, and making a better life for yourself and your family. I have my own family now with my wife and 3 kids, so it's about my kids and their future and my wife, so I do it for my family. I always say that it's bigger than me. I put myself last.
Well, he's the Globetrotter, Pat Miller, getting it done for the Cairns Taipans. Probably want to be a little bit further towards the King's score, but nonetheless, he's doing it on the inside, which is where they've needed it so far.
Yeah, I'm wrapped he's in the league, to be honest. I mean, he's a fantastic human being, father of 3, he's enjoying himself up in Cairns, but he's been one of the best imports we've seen. You mentioned the last couple of years, and I'm glad that he's in this environment, thriving, and he's obviously, Tajir McCall helped recruit him, but he's doing good things up in the far north.
He's flown under the radar. One man who hasn't flown under the radar in his time both with the Cairns Taipans and with the Kings is DJ Hogue. He was special. A majority of his damage done early before the Kings offense dried up, Mitch.
Yeah, he was amazing. You can just see his ability to get to those loose balls. He can finish with contact. He's a good 6'8", shoots the ball over anybody. And as you saw before, he shot one all the way from the car park and, as you said, had to punch a ticket. But when he gets going, he's tough to guard, and that's where Sydney really got a lot of their energy on going early on in the game.
We said earlier, a red rag to a bull, but it was an orange Taipans jersey. He was getting it done on all ends of the floor, DJ Hogue. As we look at the Blackmore shot chart, you look at that, only just the one from outside, but I'll tell you what, you could probably push that green dot, Pete Hawley, a little bit further back because that was from the car park.
And it was, but you also just got to know that if you're Cairns going into this game, he's returning to Cairns. He played with a lot of you guys last year, played under Adam Ford. Of course he's going to come out with a little bit more aggression trying to prove a point. I know they didn't leave with any bad blood or anything, but anytime you play a former team, I mean, Mitch, you've been there, you love playing against your former team. I'm surprised that they didn't put more bodies on him and they didn't try and shut him down early, and credit to DJ Hogue for taking advantage.
On the Taipans, one of the most special players on their roster, Bobby Klintman. He's been decent tonight, nothing that's really jumped out, but of course it's been hard coming up against that zone that the Kings have put forward. A lot of the work has been from the exterior.
Yeah, I'd like to see a lot more from Bobby Klintman. I mean, he's only played the 8 minutes in that first half. He's got 6 points, he's got a couple of rebounds, but I think this is the kind of energy piece that eventually, once this team gets healthy, I mean, he's still coming back off being injured as we have a look at his stats, just 6'3" and 1. I think he's a starter for this team, I think, going forward. He's been terrific.
Yeah, I think when he has the confidence to really go out there and just play his style of game, he shoots the ball well, but there are times where he needs to become a professional and he has to understand first 3 or 4 seconds of a shot clock. Maybe don't pull up in transition and shoot that one, because Ford is going to look straight at you and say, come here, big fella, we're sitting down. But when he's aggressive, he's downhill, he's making plays defensively, he's one of the next stars and he's one of the all-stars of the league this year.
Well, it's an 11-point lead for the back-to-back champions, the Sydney Kings, and I'll tell you what, the Cairns Taipans, they started to fire up late. Can they continue to eat into that, or will the Sydney Kings pull away? Second half up next.
special shout out as well too. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Terry and Charmaine. Terry and Charmaine, happy 50th wedding anniversary. I know where you guys are sitting. I can see you from here. Yes, waving out. Beautiful. Long-time members. 50 beautiful years together. Happy anniversary. Congratulations. And hopefully you're looking at the big screen as well too. You can scan and win a fabulous, massive $500 voucher. Thanks to Early Settler Furniture. What a great Chrissy present that would be. All you've got to do is just scan the QR code on the big screen, register your details. It's that easy. You also got an opportunity to scan the code. Cheerleaders hopefully are holding up some signs. That would have been earlier maybe. Or they could be on your clappers as well. Simply go to quiz.orangearmy.com.au. You not only win $500, but you can also grab a great deal on all furniture. That's right, buy any two items and save 25%. This includes the outdoor furniture range. Be sure to check out the new look store on Anderson Street, and the winner will be announced later tonight, so keep an eye on your phone.
The NBL action continues tomorrow night. The Illawarra Hawks taking on the red-hot Perth Wildcats. The media, the fans, they said the Wildcats were done and they needed changes. Well, how's that for a change? A winning streak. Tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. and he's set to go off. That man, Bryce Cotton, is playing some of the best basketball of his career. But when we talk about playing good basketball, remiss not to mention Jalen Galloway. Back in this lineup, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, getting it done for the Sydney Kings.
He's been phenomenal so far tonight. Just playing the game when it gives him something simple. Drives right, gets on the rim. Back cut, overplay from Tajir McCall early on. Beautiful dunk and the and-one. He's taking open shots. He hasn't made one from downtown just yet, but the way he plays the game is so smooth, so simple. He understands his role, and his coach knows exactly what he's going to get from him.
Well, the Sydney Kings were dominant for the most part of that first half. Alice Kunek, courtside.
Now, they were dominant for most of the half, Felix, but I can't imagine they would have been too impressed going into that halftime huddle. But conversely for Cairns, if you shoot enough balls in, surely they're going to go in. But this game is heavily watched. We do have some NBA scouts here in the building, and also the NBL CEO, Dave Stevenson, as well. So it's a great game, great atmosphere, and I'm excited for the second half.
It's all happening. Those NBA scouts certainly with their eyes on Bobby Clintman, who was sold in the first half, but if he can find a way to help fight these Cairns Taipans back into a win, he'll certainly be looking pretty good. And of course, the NBL CEO moving and shaking straight away right there. He's doing a great job so far. The NBA scouts, Pete Hawley, before we start this half, they don't necessarily want to see a massive point production. They're looking for all the ins and outs of these players. It's pretty interesting when you break down what they're actually looking for.
No, 100%. And I think a lot of people get caught up with, okay, we're looking at these next stars and getting drafted as high as possible. They need to come in and put up LaMelo Ball and Josh Giddey numbers. It's just not true. What you need to do is come in one player and leave a better player.
Mitch, obviously the Cairns Taipans a much better end to that first half than the way they started, especially from the three-point line. They're still looking to find their range from the three-point line. What's the main change you want to see as they continue to fight their way back?
Yeah, look, I think right now you've just got to make a conscious effort to get feet in the paint. We've seen when Cairns go downhill, they attack, they play with a little bit of poise and a little bit of patience. The good results keep on coming, and I think if you're Tajir McCall, if you're Roberts, the guys around the rim that can finish really well and be creative, that's where your bread and butter is right now, and that's why they're back in this game against Sydney Kings.
We've got a bit of a delay here, folks. They're just trying to figure out the shot clock, which is non-existent at the moment. I'd say that it shouldn't bother both these teams with the speed they play. They like to get shots up pretty quick, but it does need to be fixed. You can see above the backboard there that Sydney will be shooting at. It's also down the other end. There is no active shot clock. So, again, not ideal, but this gives a chance for us to continue to talk about what these teams need to be better. And if I'm Sydney and if I'm a Sydney fan, it would frustrate me that last 5 minutes of that second quarter because they were unbelievable in the... And again, I mean, Alice mentioned it, 2 of 18 from Cairns. A couple of those were good looks, and you probably get away with that. And if they knock them down, it's a different story. But this shouldn't be an 11-point game with how well Sydney have played. But on the flip side, Cairns Taipans, Pat Miller continues to do Pat Miller things.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the shot clock has gone on. It's happy hour at Gilligan, so I imagine all the power is being diverted towards that venue right now. But look, Pat Miller, we always talk about how strong he is and how physically imposing he looks. But right now, he's doing that on the inside, and he's showing you it's not just for looks.
It's definitely not for looks. I remember running into him in the Gold Coast, and I think I'm still falling backwards to this day. He's a very strong human. He's very smart. He's very creative. He's very savvy with the ball. So we're seeing here on both ends of the floor, defensively, when he sits down and defends, no one can go past him. No one can go through him for sure. But I think he's the barometer right now. He's got to step up these first 3 minutes, put the pressure back on Sydney. And when and if this game gets going, we'll see him at the head of the snake, charging down the Kings.
Certainly give me the head of the monster if they want to get right back into this game. But Pat Miller, Pete Hawley, he's one of the more underrated.
And he's just a great pickup. And again, this is, you talk about Adam Ford and Jim McCall's relationship. This is the trust that Fordy has and the Cairns organisation has to listen to Taj McCall and say, hey, I've got this mate of mine. He doesn't fit the niche that we're trying to build up here with all youngsters and this youth. He's a bit older than the rest of us, but I guarantee you he's going to be a great fit, and he's been that and more. And when I did speak to him way back in the Blitz when I did that interview, he said that his family are loving Australia. They're loving, the kids are loving school here. And you kind of think, well, you hear that, you see the way he's playing, and you're kind of thinking, well, maybe Pat Miller doesn't leave anytime soon. And we see a lot of imports today. One of your imports, Creaky, looks like he's going to find a home in Australia. Big Sauce not going too far, you wouldn't imagine.
Look, Big Sauce has got his feet firmly planted, I think. And, you know, he's a crowd favourite. He's a league favourite. He's a beautiful character. He's a wonderful human. And that's the best part of him, you know. But when guys stay in this league and they have 2 years, have 3 years, have 4 years, and then all of a sudden, now they're a citizen, you get a Bryce Cotton. If he becomes an Australian, tell you what.
The Red Army don't need to hear that right now.
What do you reckon I have to do to get him on my team?
There is Sydney Kings fans watching this that'll be very, very scared if Bryce Cotton becomes a citizen. But obviously the big news of the week was Adelaide having to make a massive change. CJ Bruton out, Scott Nennis in as the interim head coach. Look, 4 wins, 9 losses, but it was obviously that massive loss previously that the guillotine fell in the revolution there at the Adelaide 36ers. And it looked like a lot of people were calling this for a while. It's a tough spot to be in.
It is, and again, this is kind of the landscape of professional sports, and you hate to see it because he's a terrific human being, and I think he's going to have a massive career, obviously. But when a team's not performing and the club's had a couple of down seasons and things haven't lived up to the expectations, then what's the easiest first move? It's normally the coach, isn't it? I mean, we've seen that. But again, it's somewhat unprecedented. We don't see this often in the NBL. I mean, the Illawarra Hawks made a move a couple of weeks ago now, Adelaide 36ers, and there's been reports coming out that the rotations are going to shorten right up and they're going to play a lot of the youngsters, and it's like, well, let's see what happens going forward. Scott Nennis, Adelaide Legends, going to take over. But they haven't made I don't think they made the playoffs since you did against us back in 2018. But it's been a long drought, and as an Adelaide boy, they deserve, I think, the chance to get back to the glory days, and we'll see how they respond.
For those just tuning in, just a little electrical issue up there with the shot clock, so working to get that one fixed, and we will be back underway. Obviously, it's never a good sign when the practice balls come out and the players just start to work here, so maybe a little bit of a delay, but stick with us. An 11-point lead for the Sydney Kings. I'll tell you what, the Cairns Taipans, is this what they want? They were fighting hard to get back into this game. As we look at some of these Hungry Jacks highlights of the first half, the Kings off the top, dominant, absolutely strangling the Taipans in that zone.
They started off so strong, and DJ Hogue was the guy that really started it. Valentine was out there shooting threes from everywhere. But Jonah Bolden, he was doing some work as well. Everybody was coming in, contributing. But it's just the zone right now that we're loving. It's a new look zone. We haven't seen it before. There were times where it didn't look phenomenal, but they stayed in it. It started to work. It got them a great 20, 25-point buffer. Cairns came back towards the end of the second quarter, but you've got to really enjoy seeing Sydney play a new shape-up defense, try and work on that defensive side of things, and we know how good they are, especially when guys like Hogue are making shots like that. They're a special team to watch.
Well, we brought up the
I mean, let's be honest, I don't think Cairns are going to come out and shoot 2 of 18 in the second half as well, but it's a much-needed change, and they had a lot of success, which was good. Problem is, if you become a full zone team, which is what they've looked like, unless you're Syracuse University, a lot of teams obviously will scout heavily. Okay, we've got Sydney this week. We know they're going to play that 2-3 zone, and then they come in really prepared, and that can throw you when that's not your full-time defensive fallback. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that and what happens, but they've got no issues so far with the first, I would say the first 16 minutes, and then Cairns got off a little bit in the second.
Mitch, as a player, when you go into the locker room at halftime, you're down 11 points, as the Cairns Taipans are, but you look at the stat sheet, you see 2 of 18 from the three-point line, some of those very easy makes, some of them very contested shots. How much confidence does that give you, as opposed to, geez, we've gone out there and we've played pretty good basketball and we're still down 11?
Yeah, it gives you a lot of confidence because you know that out of the 18 shots, you've only made 2. And of the 18, as we spoke about before, maybe a dozen of those are one pass or no pass offense. Bad shots in the zone, bad shots. You know, there's no team basketball, there's no chemistry, there's no flow together. And right now, you just need to share the ball. You need feet in the paint, kick it out, kick it on, one more, drive again, spray it out. And if you miss those ones, well, you can live with that. But knowing you've got 16 in the bag that you can go and fire up again, hopefully you make all of those misses. It could be a very quick turnaround. You could see the score change the opposite direction, and you could see Cairns up very quickly in this third quarter.
Well, I'll tell you what, boys. We're sitting here in DC Multiverse Round. We got superheroes left, right, and center. While we sit here in this delay while the shot clock gets fixed, it just has me thinking about the superhero that's graced this commentary desk. He's graced many a media platform before, and that is none other than Corey Homicide Williams. Our thoughts are with you, brother, as you continue to fight a fight that I know you damn sure will win.
Go.
But look at this. You talk
We
about
love it.
At a point where the NBL was, you look at how good the NBL ball that left and right. This man was entertainment personified on and off the court. We just look at the way that he was playing. You could never look away some of these. And my favorite memory,
Here it is.
when he signed the Damian Martin jersey at the Perth Wildcats game. So, Corey, if you're at home watching, which I know you are, you don't miss much. And I know you'll be tweeting about it if someone has a bad game, which is why we love you. But he's a superhero in our eyes, and we just cannot wait to have him back racing this desk at some point.
Yeah, he's a hero. I love the man to death. He's a fighter. He just encapsulates what basketball is, what passion is. And for any basketball around the world, he just bleeds the game, and that's what you want to see from the next generation. And he's a perfect role model for all these kids out there that come from tough places. And look, you know, he's gone and been an MVP. He's traveled the world. He's made a great career for himself, and you know, couldn't be happier to call him a friend. And we can't wait to have him back at the desk with us.
I'll tell you what, we could talk about him all day. As we said, 11-point lead for the Sydney Kings here, just waiting for that power to be restored to the shot clock. Peter Hooley hit the nail on the head when he said, you know what, both of these teams could probably go ahead without playing.
I don't think we need it.
I
don't think we need it in these two teams.
Such is the pace that they play with. But we spoke on it during halftime. I want to touch on it again. If you're the Cairns Taipans right now, what's the #1 thing that Adam Ford is going to be preaching in the locker room?
Don't settle. I mean, sometimes, talk about they're not going to shoot 2 of 18 again from the three-point line, but well, unless they're really good shots, they're getting good looks. Firstly, defense has to be better. When they got stops and got out and ran, the defensive transition of Sydney looked a little shaky at times. So, firstly, on the whiteboard, we've got to get stops. We've got to sharpen up defensively. 48 points is too much in a half. When we get out and run, we don't have to worry about the zone. But then when we get to zone, throw it inside, throw it to the high post, try and explore a little bit and get some action going there. And these look like some really loose players just slowly going through it, thinking, is this shot clock ever going to come back? And I'm not so sure. Cairns normally have the New Year's Eve game. We're on track just to continue to flow into that at this point.
Mitch, the Sydney Kings, of course, they're resting a little bit easier during this break, 37-48. If you're the Kings and you've ran this zone at the start of the game and it's been hugely successful, the Cairns Taipans have started to just eat into that lead. Are you still confident sticking with it, or do you back yourself talent-wise to say, you know what, let's just go mano-a-mano for the second half?
You definitely back yourself because you know the quality of shots out of those 18 we spoke about. Probably a dozen aren't great shots at all, so you live with it. You understand the zone's working. You go and look at a bit of film with the coaches. You go to the players, you address them, and you say, this is what's working. This is where we need to work on our just zone shifts just a little bit more. So it might be bumping down from that top to the 45 and 45 to that high post. They know that that's the danger zone. So it's a good settling period right now just for Sydney to say, we know what's worked for us. This might be the first time they've really got to use it. And I think when we play them on Sunday, we know what we're up against now, which is great. But Cairns Taipans, they got to understand, they got to get the ball inside. They got to find the high post. They got to find the short corner. They got to get ball on the deck. But Sydney, they're sitting pretty right now.
Coming into this game, Josh Roberts was the massive talking point. Of course, he was the change in the starting lineup against Melbourne United. He was magnificent when the Cairns Taipans were playing their best basketball that we've seen from them all year. Right now, he sits on 6 minutes and really hasn't featured too heavily in the rotation, Peter Hooley.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to figure out what works well against this zone. I mean, Josh Roberts does really well. We've seen it underneath the zone, but they need that kind of high post flasher and decision maker, which Sam Wardenberg can be. And we mentioned confidence, Craig, and how big that plays with youngsters. You can see that a bit with Wardenberg. But Josh Roberts, we didn't speak about it in this game. With the highlights, defense was where he was phenomenal. He's already got a block in this game, but that presence is something that's going to help strengthen their defense. And we sound like a broken record when we say defense wins NBL championships, but right now, Tasmania are elite right now since Will Magnay's come back on that end, and they struggled early before that. When you've got a big presence down low like this, who can not just block shots but alter shots, good things happen, and it's a nice little fight for the Taipans.
It definitely is, Pete, and the best part about it is that he plays both ends of the court. We see him have a big scoring game, but it's a defensive impact. It's staying down in front. He's a disciplined defender, and when you have someone like that, a Will Magnay for the Tassie team, you know, they hold down everyone's little mistakes. You can kind of let back doors go. One time, put your hand up, oh, it's my bad. But then you've got someone there to block it away or at least deter and change that shot. When you have someone there that trusts the rotation, they got your back, you've got theirs. It's an easy way to play defensive basketball.
We spoke on Bobby Clintman at halftime, the next star for the Cairns Taipans. But of course, Alex Tui, homegrown Aussie. For so long, we've thought these next stars would only be coming from young American kids that we'd recruit over, young European kids, but it's special. We saw Josh Giddey, how good he was, and of course his career now. Alex Tui, another homegrown superstar, 19 years old. ESPN NBA mock draft has him at 48 right now, but we've seen how quickly these players can rise, especially as the college season starts to tail off and these guys continue to work.
I mean, the whole program is perfect for what it is, exactly right, of just prepping these guys for the next step in the NBA to live out their dream. Alex Tui is in the perfect situation because it's a 2-year program where a lot of people, when he signed us, like, okay, you're not going to go to college where you do your 2 years in Sydney and then you go as be a lottery pick. The way he's played early on, he's going to have that choice in the trajectory. Do I declare for next year's draft? But he's obviously got the right people around to talk to. But Andrew Bogut is part of the Sydney Kings organisation to be able to lean on and just be like, you've got NBA contacts, you know a lot of people. Would I be in my best interest to declare this year? Should I do another year? I'm not sure at this point which way he'll fare, because you think about it next year. If he decides to come back for Sydney, they're probably thinking, if you're Mahmoud, if you're Chris Prongrass, he's our starting 3-man. Like, we're going to get him in, we're going to put other pieces around that. I know initially they probably thought he'd come off the bench with Jalen Galloway starting, but since all those injuries, so there's a lot of stuff to work out, but it's just the beauty of the program.
Well, Andrew Bogut is a respected member of that NBA community, and we've seen with Jashawn Tate going over there and getting a contract. I'm sure there is whispers and Bogut in the ear of these GMs talking these guys up, and I'm sure his word counts for quite a bit,
no doubt,
when they talk. So it is a benefit to be a part of that Sydney Kings roster with an NBA legend involved in that. And of course, you've got Luke Longley involved there. The NBA pedigree goes right through. The one that I want to talk on right now is Trenton Flowers, because of course with CJ moving on, Scott Ninnis coming in, this now becomes for the Adelaide 36ers a development year for the most part. And we've seen, you know, rumours leak around of who's going to be playing and who's not. We don't know how much to read into it. But I think the one thing we will know for sure is that Trenton Flowers is going to see some more time on the court.
Yeah, I mean, he has to. Right now, there's nothing to lose. You have really a little bit to gain by going on a bit of a winning streak and kind of just taking all the shackles off and saying, well, we've had a bit of a whirlwind adventure so far this season in the last couple of years, but now we can turn it around. Now we have the freedom to just play basketball. We can work on some things. We can trial out some new defensive strategies, some new offensive strategies, some new lineups. We can kind of all take a breath. And when you do that as a team, it sometimes makes it a little bit easier. And then 4 or 5 games come in later, then maybe you win a few games. We saw that with Perth. Perth started really slow. Everyone jumped on the bandwagon of Perth are horrible. They're going to be terrible this year. Fire this person, get rid of that person. But now you look at them, Bryce Cotton's taken over that team. And I think Adelaide right now, they have to do the same thing. Trenton Flowers can be someone that can bring a big spark, turn this into maybe a little bit of a Cinderella story and put him on the map.
Red Army, I want it on record. I never said that about the Perth Wildcats. I said they were going to be contenders. I said Bryce Cotton was going to be MVP. Never once did I lose faith in how things were going to work out.
I'll tell you what, there's superheroes on court, but how about this? The superheroes off court. How good is that? Just getting all dressed up to go to the basketball. I'll tell you what, Cairns is a fun place to play. Probably the best mascot in the league, I will add. and Joe Blake, the snake, who probably just rubs a couple of players the wrong way.
And the shot clock, evidently.
When he goes around. And the shot clock, probably not the best one as well to be going there. For those that are joining us just now, we've got shot clock issues, and we have for quite some time. The players just keep them warm out there. This game will resume soon. Of course, the fight back for the Cairns Taipans wears on. It's been dented a little bit by this break, but we'll cross down now to Alice Kunak, courtside. What's going on? Lady on the ground.
Well, Felix, I have been told that there is a server issue. So there's a lot of people running around, but not much action is really happening. There is a cyclone coming around far north Queensland, so I'm not sure if it has anything to do with that.
Well, Alice, maybe it's some nefarious international hacking. That seems to be the trend recently in international politics. Any chance of that going on?
Yeah, I think so. I think no one wanted to see any more zone play. They wanted to see some proper defense, and they said, get rid of this zone. But I can see Cairns, they're playing on the rack. They're getting up their three-point shooting. So let's hope for a better second half of their shooting percentage.
I mean, Alice, we spoke a little bit about the shooting percentages, but those quick shots and Adam Ford, we've seen him lose his temper. Did you get the sense coming out of half-time that they got a bit of a spray? Or do you think that they were more composed, thinking, OK, one, we're not going to shoot as poor as that, but two, we know what we have to do. We did it in the last 3 minutes, and we got this game back to 11 points.
Look, guys, I saw last week Adam Ford was pretty composed, and he's kept that composure this game. I know the first half, the first quarter, he wasn't really too impressed with how they were taking those shots, just that shot selection. But it looks like they've been able to find themselves, you know, you guys mentioned getting their feet in the paint, getting the ball through hands, and they've been able to fight back in this game. But I know that he's going to want more from his team in that second half.
I was going to ask, I mean, this is unprecedented times with this delay. Jalen Adams is right behind you. Does he want to have a chat and turn around? And...
Look, I can get him to ask.
Yeah, just go in and
Jalen, you want to chat?
Just a bit of roaming Brian
having a
from you
chat
there.
here right now.
Alice, well, what's the atmosphere like there in Cairns? Of course, we've heard during the week that 6,000 members for the Sydney Kings. They've sold out their members allotment. We see the Cairns Taipans all the time. It's one of the small market teams, but I've been yet to be able to travel out there and see what the atmosphere is like. But from everyone I hear, it's unbelievable.
Felix, you are missing out in far north Queensland. It is a great atmosphere. You know, everyone's wearing their orange, a little bit like the Townsville Fire. You know, it's just a great community up here, and they can clearly tell they get around their hoops and they love their basketball here.
Well, I certainly said I've been to far north Queensland, but to different venues than the old Snake Pit, unfortunately, or Gilligan's.
I think your photo's on Gilligan's. It's just like a wanted Felix von Hoff.
That's it. They've got jerseys hung in the rafters. Mine's hung right there. But I'll tell you what, your thoughts on Patrick Miller so far? Look, we always talk about how imposing he is. Now, you're down there on the ground. You can see him right there. He's such an incredibly imposing player, but he's living up to it right now with the way that he plays, using every inch of that strength.
Absolutely. I'm so impressed with his physical stature, and to hear that he doesn't lift weights is absolutely incredible. But I think he's been underrated in this MVP talk. He's leading the league in assists and he's fourth in scoring. And with McCall being out for that first half of the season, he's really stepped up for this Cairns Taipans team. He gets himself in the paint, he sees his teammates, he's strong, he's composed, and he really plays well for this team. So I'm sure he'll be looking to have a great second half, and just a second half of this season as well.
Well, Alice, I've got good news.
It's back?
The shot clock is back, and we should be back on track very soon. I've been told 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll be back there on the floor. So we'll let you get back there and get in your position, ready to scout those timeouts for us. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, you have delays sometimes, but luckily, as the players start to just socialise a little bit and get back into it. For those just tuning in now, there was a shot clock issue that appears to have been fixed from all reports, and we're going to be back on track very soon. So stay tuned here. We're losing our words. We've been going for a while.
This is a big fill.
Marathon.
This is a big fill. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing who responds well to this, because this can really halt the momentum. I mean, we think Cairns definitely had that momentum going in to that half-time. And we have a look at the Mitsubishi Motors ladder. This is a good time to talk about some other teams. And I mentioned Tassie a little bit. I want to give a big shout-out right now and give a big love to the Doyle family, Ben Milton Doyle. He just went back home, the tragic passing of his father, and he played really well last weekend with, I'm sure, a really high emotion. So the whole NBL, the whole basketball community, we know how much we rally around one another. So I'm glad he gets to spend a lot of time with his family right now. He's going to miss this weekend's game, and again, another player that I'm stoked to be part of this wonderful league, because he's a beautiful person, but he's an even better basketball player. So hope everything's going all right with him. I can't wait to see him come back. But that Tasmania team, with Will Magnay back, they're legit.
Yeah, they're a very tough team, Pete, and we've watched them kind of closely, a little bit from afar. We haven't played them too recently, but we start to see the power of Will Magnay, and when he's healthy, what they do. You've got talent all across the board, and shout out to Milton Doyle. We hope everything is well back home, but There's a lot of horses there that are ready to run a race without him at the moment, but I think they're a team that's going to be really hard at the end of the season to knock off. And you know, Scott Ross done an amazing job, and I think, you know, Jay Craw and Jack McVeigh and everyone there has done an amazing job of building that franchise into an absolute powerhouse.
Mitch, as obviously a current superstar in this league, and everyone, when they come up to you, obviously you're the head of the scout and they fear you the most. I'm going to ask you two questions as we wait for this game to resume, which should be very shortly from all reports. When you walk in, I want to hear the team in the league where you look at them and you're like, okay, they're the benchmark. That's when we come up, I know, for a tough game, and the individual player that you personally match up on.
That's a tough one. I really do believe that, you know, Tassie is one of those teams that defensively, you know, you're going to get a really good battle from them every single night. You know they're going to offensive rebound. You know they're going to push the pace and be very poised in how they execute everything. But when they have a Will Magnay in there, they're actually really a much different team. We've seen that through and through. And without that big centerpiece, you have, you know, for ourselves, you have myself and Big Sauce, who do a little bit of damage inside, but you put Will Magnay down there and he does create a little bit of a distraction. Now, when it comes to just a single player that you want to go and match up on, I do always look back and think Bryce Cotton. He's always the guy that you look at and you say, we have to be prepared for this man. He's an absolute monster. He's a warrior. Every single week he's been arguably the greatest player we've seen in the NBL's history. And that goes being said of the great, you know, the GOAT Andrew Gaze. But, you know, Bryce Cotton in this era has been absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, you can't stop him. You just got to try and contain him as best as possible.
As we continue to wait for this shot clock, I think, I can't remember the time, there was one where you see Adam Ford and Mark Wood talking now where it just wasn't possible to fix. And I think someone just said over 10 on the loudspeaker. And there's the CEO chatting to the two coaches right now, just saying, what? Come on, guys, what's going on here?
Well, I'll tell you what, and that's the CEO. CEO's got a degree in computers. He might be being in trouble here, but we're going to have a quick break, and on the back of this, basketball resumes. The Kings with an 11-point lead.
Keep walking that way, I'll take my shoe off. Yeah, I'm up here. Deegan, this is Deegan. Hey. Hey. And Emma, this is Deegan and Emma. They're huge Taipans fans. I'm up in the rafters here. These guys have been screaming at me. They saw me walk on the men's league level. Want me to come up here. Fantastic jersey, amazing jersey. Favourite player ever was Chrissy Hill, is that right? What's his real name? There you go, good stuff. And your favourite player?
Welcome back to the Hungry Jacks NBL tip-off. Game time is not far away. The second half, it's an 11-point lead for the Sydney Kings. They just worked through some shot clock issues here. From what we hear, we are not far away, and the shot clock's going to be on the big screen as opposed to on the scoreboard sometimes, with Cyclone Jasper just roaming around that Cairns Taipan Stadium, the snake pit. Just can be a little unpredictable.
You can be prepared for everything. There's always going to be something that shocks them. We're getting that right now, but it's going to be hard for the players. We still have to give the players time to warm up as well, but it does bring back some. I was calling the game in Illawarra a few years ago when there was a leaking roof, and led to a little bit of a delay. These things do happen. They are rare.
Illawarra's been the home of the long games. We had I believe it was almost quadruple overtime.
It was 4 overtime.
Went there. It was against Melbourne United. I don't think there was any extra pay in the bank.
No, I remember
after that one
vividly, giving away burgers with about 30 seconds to go in the 4th overtime, and that's. In the end, I thought I was doing a good thing. Everyone had been sitting there for about 7 hours.
What a guy.
Fellas, well, I'll tell you what. Hey, I will tell you this. When it rains, it pours. Alice Kernack, I now hear the air conditioning's gone.
Oh, no.
It is getting hot in here. The jackets are off. The fans are out.
Oh, boy.
It is definitely heating up in here, guys. And, you know, Cairns, full credit to them. They're still shooting those threes. But, yeah, it's definitely heating up in here, guys.
We are 10 minutes away from Nelly's song being played. That's the way that we're going. I know 50 Cent's touring right now, but That's not good news. It gets hot quickly up there in Cairns.
Taipans, man, you do not want. I've had to check into a hotel room with an air conditioning broken over there, and I was out of that thing pretty quick. And I'll tell you what, I was not shooting hoops and playing basketball as Joe Blake the Snake just jumps on there. The Cairns Taipans fans, they're still living. They're still loving out there and enjoying it. We will get basketball back underway at some point. Of course, the Sydney Kings with an 11-point lead. But again, you know, who does this break in play? This is one of the longest breaks in play we've seen for a long time, as the NBL CEO just sits there on the phone saying, hey, whoever's hacking that server in the air conditioning, give us the password and let us sort this thing out, you nefarious hackers.
Well, it sounds like they're trying to figure out. I mean, we heard that they're trying to put the shot clock on the big screen as a live feed. But as I said, I don't know if it's a capable option to just do it over the microphone when it gets to 10 seconds and try and count it down then.
We're 5 minutes from getting Uncle Joe to stand under the rim and yell 5, 4, 3,
but
2,
again,
1.
normally these are probably the two teams in the entire league where it does not matter because of how quickly they shoot. We know you can't do that. You do need some sort of countdown, and they are trying to figure it out now. But these are things you can't completely prepare for because sometimes technology just doesn't go your way, Creaky.
Just a little bit of honesty policy.
You reckon someone's pulled the plug?
Yeah, look, maybe someone
San Antonio
over there.
Spurs did that one time. They put the aircon up or the heat up one time in a game on purpose.
Ginobili, you know, hit the bat.
Yeah, I remember that too.
There's some wild basketball stories, but...
So you think a couple of Cairns fans are thinking, we can't hit anything right now.
Let's just reset everybody.
Let's just reset everybody. Let's just come back tomorrow and let's play this game again. That's the way you're going.
Go and have a brunch. Come at lunchtime.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're waiting for basketball to get underway here, and hopefully we don't have to wait all the way until Saturday, because that's when we got one of the big double headers. The New Zealand Breakers, Mitch Creek has spoken on the Tasmanian Jack Jumper, saying it's one of the toughest teams to come up. Defensive monsters, and Will Magnay back into this lineup. That is not the team, especially for the New Zealand Breakers, who desperately need a win. You want to come up again. The Cairns Taipans, well, they might not have even left the gym by the time this one starts, but they need to make their way to the Adelaide Entertainment Centre for the 36ers. Well, luckily they're playing at home, because we know, boys, they absolutely love a road trip over there in Adelaide.
You know what? I mean, have a look. Just look at DJ Hogue sweating right now. DJ Hogue has not moved in 15 minutes. That sweat's dripping down. That's just with the aircon going out as well. But yeah, I'm looking for. It's a big round. It's a big round as we continue to see a lot of teams solidify themselves. A lot of teams chase the pack. Because remember, as of last year, you just got to make the top 6. Anything can happen when you get to the play-in series. You just got to make the top 6. Then it's all 0-0. You just win a game, continue to win, and you can go and be a champion.
There are a few sporting leagues in the world that have the parity that the NBL has, where the bottom can challenge the top on any given night. But Alice Kunak, you're working your Olgun Ulick newsbreaker down there. Have you got more news for us?
I am working hard down here. It's definitely heating up. No, I just went up to both coaches and Dave Stevenson, and he just said that unfortunately there wasn't an update straight away, but they're trying to get a camera on the sideline, which will then feed to the big screen, and then we're going to have the refs counting down for us. So everyone's involved here. Everyone's working.
I'd be shocked if we get any sort of shot clock violation in this second half.
If you would feel awfully hard done by if they have to review a shot clock violation here, and it's a ref with his hands in the air yelling out the number, that will be one of the best reviews we've possibly ever seen. We do feel for the officials in this sort of situation. Now, it's hard enough for an official to ref a basketball game, but stuff happens, and this is why they get paid the big bucks, to be able to do this, be able to ref the game and be working the shot clock as well. So our thoughts are with the officials, who I may add have done a fantastic job tonight. And on the topic of the officials, it's interesting.
Hit me.
You know, we haven't seen much of it since, but Dave Steffen, the CEO that we see here courtside tonight at Cairns, he spoke on the treatment of refs through coaches in the league. Now, we saw a bench warning to the Taipans, that's all we've seen, but it had gotten out of hand, especially from coaches talking towards officials over the last couple of seasons. And I think it is good from a league standpoint to see the CEO come out on the front foot and say, hey, you know, we've taken this too far.
That followed up by the quick warnings and technicals, I think, is the way forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you still want to allow the emotion, and you can understand, and I think a lot of our referees are really great. Okay, there's the emotion. I understand that you're upset for whatever reason. But if that continues to go after I've said, okay, I understand what you're saying, or you've had that first piece of dialogue and it goes again, then it's a warning. And then you understand, okay, if I do it again, I'm having an early shower. So I can't afford to do that. That's the one way to kind of really stamp it out. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that continues to... Because we got no game without them.
It's certainly true. That's an astute observation you made there, Peter Hooley.
Cop a lot of flack. They cop a lot of flack, and I think a lot of something with the basketball, the dialogue,
everything.
The shot clock, evidently.
The shot clock, evidently. We do not have a basketball game, and the air conditioning as well is probably one that we want to work out there as well. But I'll tell you what, the refs are doing a fantastic job, and we hope that's made a little bit easier with being given the grace to give these early technicals and really just put coaches somewhat back in their place. I think one of the best things that I heard when it comes to these sort of situations is if you think it was a bad call, you've got unlimited challenges. So if I made the wrong call, just challenge it. If you think you're right, just go ahead and challenge it, and you'll be able to do that every single game. But right now, we've got Alice Kunak. He's going to join us with the league CEO, Dave Stevenson.
Now, Dave, you probably didn't think you'd be dealing with this coming up to far north Queensland. Can you give us a little bit of an update on what's going on?
Yeah, look, we've had a whole lot of power challenges tonight. Looks like a circuit breaker's gone, so they're working their way through that. We're actually got a little bit of an innovative model, so we're going to try and put a camera on a laptop screen that'll give a shot clock on the timer and get that up on the big scores. Then at least the players will know how much time's left. So we're working our way through it. I think we'll be fine, but it's always part of the joys of live sport.
Now, can you confirm or deny? Was it because of the zone that this has happened?
No. I think it's a good way to see what happens when the players come back. That's always a challenge after such a long break. But they're professionals. They'll come back. It'll get through the second half and it'll all be fine.
Now, you're here with some NBA scouts tonight. How are you finding the game?
Yeah, it's great. These are the times where you see the athleticism of these players on court, and the level of NBA interest just continues to go from strength to strength. So they're really enjoying it. And again, that's part of our challenge. We'll work through it and should be a great rest of the game.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time, Dave.
I'll tell you what, I don't quite think this is what Dave had in mind on the North Queensland junket when he went up there to maybe just enjoy a bit of sun. I'm fresh to the job. I'm going to get up there to the tropics and enjoy myself. I'm not quite sure this is what he had in mind, and it's probably lucky that he's there tonight when this is all going down.
He's got the work laptop out. He's got a new app going on. He's talking to the developers. The scouts are sitting here. They're getting hot, pity and sweaty. Where are we right now? Let's get back home. It's all happening in Cairns.
He looks none too pleased, big fella. Just thinks, hey, I care little for the shot clock. Just get me that air conditioning on.
I did, again, you got to commend the innovation to come up with an idea to continue this, and they're trying to get that working now with a camera that's going to be facing a laptop that's going up to the big screen. And, I mean, we mentioned there's the technical difficulties going on and the cyclone that's rolling around, but I'm getting back to, I've gone into the stats, so I keep talking about how these teams don't need the shot clock. Sydney are the quickest paced team in the league, 82.7. And then they're fourth, the Taipans, 79.7. So they are two of the quickest teams in the competition. The second team is actually the guy next to me in Mitch Creek. The pace has really gone up with the Phoenix. Has that been something that you talked about under Mike Kelly? We want to play a lot quicker, or do you think it's more of that you've got Alan Williams, you've got Garrett Brown back, you've got two integral pieces to roll over to a second season, you feel more comfortable in the offense out there?
I definitely think it's a part of the recruiting as well. You've got guys on the roster that, push the pace of the ball. Matt Kenyon, Ben Ayres, Reece Vagg, like all these guys that have come in. And then you have returning players. It makes life a lot easier when you know what the landscape already looks like. You've got a big core there, and it's easy to play basketball when you have a system. You've already played it for a few years, and you can kind of flow into it for another season. And for us, it's about tweaking little things. And the pace has gone up definitely, but I think for us, the biggest thing is, and we all know it, we've spoken about Sydney tonight, is the defensive side of things. You get a few more stops, you run a little freer, you get up and down, you shoot 400 three-pointers like we've seen in the first half tonight, and we play without a shot clock because that's how most of our days look, and I think that's how it's going to look in this second half right now.
An 11-point lead for the Sydney Kings. You look at Mahmood just huddling his team up right now. Adam Ford playing the let them do what they want. Let them roll around, take a couple of shots, sit back and chill on the bench. And I'll tell you what, I asked you previously, and we had to move segments, who does this impact the most? When we talk about the Cairns Taipans, who look to have all the momentum at the end of the half-time break, and they would have gone into the locker room, we're ready to go, we're fired up. Look at this, we went 2 for 18 from the three-point line. We're not going to do that in the second half, in theory. We're not going to do that. And they've got all the energy. The Sydney Kings, they're thinking, we played for the most part of that first half. We played the best basketball and the best defense we have of the year, and now we're only sitting up 11 points.
I think it hurts Sydney more. I mean, they're away from home. These aren't their fans, and they've gone into halftime. Mahmood would have been like telling them that last 4 minutes wasn't anywhere like the first 75% of the game we played in that first half. So we've got to come out better. They would have said they understood that. And, hey, let's start this game like we started the first quarter. And let's get out on a run. Let's really get that energy back. And all of a sudden, that's going to be zapped out. So both teams are going to have to go through it. So it's kind of all in the same boat. But it's getting hot in the convention centre as well. So another thing you've got to deal with. But as Dave Stevenson said, it is what happens with live sports sometimes. And whichever team comes off at best. And I don't think you're going to have too many people say, well, that's the sole reason that we didn't perform in the second half, because both teams are going to have to experience the exact same thing.
Well, I do want to give credit to the Sydney Kings as well. It's quite remarkable. During the week, they announced 6,000 members, which sells out their membership tally. And that's the 6,000 signed up, delivered members. They're getting much bigger crowds of that from games. You've got to leave these stadiums open. And, of course, it was highlighted when they got 16,000 to the last championship series against the New Zealand Breakers. Absolutely an unbelievable turnaround from where the Kings were not too long ago in one of the hardest landscapes in sport to have a successful team. Where the Sydney Kings sit now is remarkable, and a credit to, you know, Paul Smith, Chris Prongrass, Andrew Bogut, Luke Longley, everyone involved in that front office right now to be able to get the Kings to not just back-to-back championships. You can put a good roster together and get wins. We've seen that time and time again. Teams, you know, it's tough, but teams can do that. It's the off-court stuff in a market like Sydney that you really just have to tip your hat to what they've done over the past 5-10 years.
That last sentence was the key for me. The market, it's a very heavily NRL rugby state and city, and what they've built up. And again, I mean, winning championships obviously helps, but it's a credit to absolutely everybody involved, and they continue to put out fantastic roster and fantastic people amongst all that as well. So it's fun to see, and it's great for the league, it's great for Sydney, and no doubt they're going to continue to be a powerhouse this year as well. That little baby, as a dad, I'd be petrified right now if my sleep pattern is going to be thrown out because you've been delayed. Okay, the little one, we go home at 9:30. The little one will be in bed by 9:45. That's perfect. I can get a couple of hours sleep before he wakes up, and then all of a sudden the shot clock goes out, and you're like, well, my night is ruined.
Not tonight.
My night is ruined. As someone who was up at 3 o'clock this morning, I can understand. I sympathise with what's about to happen.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed my 12 hours of sleep, so I can't really relate to you on that one. But let's focus in on the Cairns Taipans, because what we're seeing right now pales in comparison, at least for the most part of that first half, pales in comparison to what we saw against Melbourne United. It was from start to finish a dominant effort from the Taipans, breaking the record for points in John Cain Arena for field goal percentage. It was one of those games where we said they'll slow down eventually. They're not going to keep shooting like this all game, and I'll tell you what, the scoreboard says they did.
And this is the danger of this game as well. You've missed 16 three-pointers. We've just seen them, you know, only a week ago turn around and make a plethora of shots on both sides of the floor. And when both teams are playing this kind of brand of basketball, you know that they're both dangerous. You see Cairns Taipans, they get this big win, they get the ball rolling, they start to feel momentum, and this break, you're right before, Pete, this could be the start of something special. You've reset, everyone's out of rhythm right now, and if they come out firing in this second half with a bit of this momentum from last week, watch out, Felix, you might get a Cairns home game win.
And Melbourne United, if we touch on them as well, the first time that they're going to be coming in off back-to-back losses this season. That man right there, CG43, aging like fine wine, 35 years old, still stroking that thing like an animal.
Well, here are the records you were talking about as it is getting close to midnight here. But it was unbelievable. Again, they're both defensive juggernauts, and for them to really both have their struggles in this game, I think is a credit to what both teams did offensively. But knowing Dean Bickman, that's just not where you want to be at going into a 7-day break. You don't want to give up 115 points on your floor, because there's a couple of drills you're going to have to face with defensively. But yeah, big credit to Adam Ford for, it was a master stroke with the switching up of the lineup and understanding what was going to work well. And again, I mean, Melbourne United are going through a similar thing than Sydney, where you have key players coming in and out. DJ Hogue missed a lot of time. Jalen Galloway's missed time for Melbourne United. Ian Clark, Delhi, JLA. So there's been all these key guys missing time. That continuity is hard. You've got to make sure that everybody's healthy towards the business end of the season, to understand role clarity, to understand what works well. And I think that's been half of Sydney's struggles. And Creaky, you found this last year as well, as we'll touch on a bit later.
Well, we're just going to take a quick break here. Hopefully, I lied to you last time, but hopefully I'm telling the truth now. Basketball on the other side. Jalen Galloway's been the man. 10 points. He leads the way for the Sydney Kings. The young fella finding his feet, of course, with that shoulder heavily strapped. Was out a little bit earlier with injury, but as Mitch Creek said during the broadcast, the body control of the young man, a genuine NBA talent. We've got our eyes on these next stars, but players like this, they sneak under the radar. And for the Sydney Kings, he does it on both ends of the floor. If you're just joining us now, there's been shot-cocked issues right here. And finally, we appear to have found a resolution. Alice Kunak, down to you courtside.
Now, Coach Mahmood, not the start that you guys wanted coming here with this shot clock violation. How are you going, and what's the resolution we've got here?
I've never been a part of anything like this, so you just have to go with the flow, see what happens. So I truly have no explanation for it. But hopefully both teams will be ready, and hopefully nobody gets hurt.
Absolutely. Now, we watched you guys go into that zone. You guys have changed up with some switching defense. Now you've gone to the zone. What was the thought process behind this?
Just like we switching up the defenses. So just mixing it up, just keeping the offense on their heels. So.
Thanks, Coach. All the best for the second half. Now, the coaches have agreed that the game will go with no shot clock. So just a little update with that.
Oh, boy. Well, I'll tell you what.
No shot clock.
I have seen a lot of things in my 28 years of life, but this is a first. No shot clock basketball. Both teams, in the spirit of the game, are going to play and agree to just go out there and just roll. And as you said earlier, Pete, they didn't appear to need it with the style that they play. If there was ever a team that this was going to work with, two teams that this was going to work with, it's Sydney versus Cairns.
Yeah, so further to that, I think that's what both teams, and they put it to both Adam Ford and Mahmood of saying there's no shot that we can't figure it out, that there's not a whole lot of options. So in the spirit of the game, let's continue. And by the spirit of the game, it's let's not just hold the ball for 50 seconds. Let's play to score. Let's do it. But it shouldn't happen. Without this actually being an issue, it probably wouldn't happen in the first place with how fast these two teams play. But credit to them for shaking hands, because everyone wants to get this game underway. And as Mahmood said, we hope that there's no injuries and we can finish this game out and may the best team win.
Well, help me tick off the checklist. Basketballs, hoops,
yep,
coaches,
yep,
players,
yep.
Then let's play, baby. Let's go. We got all we need.
Isn't that amazing, though?
Referees are also required on that one.
So maybe the referees just go out and call it a night, have a shower, go to the pub, have a cold one, and we just call our own fouls as well.
Let's turn this thing into mano-a-mano right now, but we're going to be getting away. We're going to be getting underway shortly. Of course, you will still see at home a shot clock on the screen, but of course the players and coaches have agreed that in spirit they are still going to play within those time spans. But it is, of course, we may go over a little bit, we may go under a bit. But all that matters is that we're going to resume playing basketball. The players are back into their regular warm-ups now. And Mahmood and Adam Ford have both agreed that this show will go on.
I'm intrigued. I'm excited to see what happens because, again, credit to everybody involved to get this game underway. We want to see some hoops continue. But who's going to be the first team that you just held it for a little bit too long and the other coach is like, this is not what we agreed on. But going forward, but as we said, the Sydney Kings are the fastest-paced team in the league and Cairns are fourth, so it shouldn't matter anyway. But I wouldn't be surprised if the courtside PA announcer as well shouts 10 seconds as well or something like that.
How much, Mitch Creek, as a current player, how much do you think it'll play into the players' minds? Now, obviously, they've agreed in the spirit of the game to play without the shot clock. But in your mind, you always feel rushed late in the clock. Is there going to be a point where that's, you relax a little bit because you can say it all you want, you're going to play like that, but you're not being hunted down by that shot clock?
It's definitely going to be a challenge. I can't say I've ever had to think of this scenario in a real live game situation because this is a world first potentially. But the great thing is you've got two coaches who say, we love basketball. We're going to play the game. We're going to play it the right way. And the players have now just said, you know what? We don't want to come back tomorrow. We don't want to come back in 3 weeks and squeeze a game in and play 20 minutes of game time. But let's just go out and play. So it's going to be a test of character and will because when the shot clock typically would wind down and you feel the pressure as you spoke about, and if it's a close game, well, do you just hold it a little bit longer?
Well, that's going to be the issue right now. Look, it's an 11-point lead right now for the Kings, but the Taipans, we've said it time and time again, broken record. They were chasing at the end of that half. They were looking like the hot team. They had all the momentum. Well, will that remain? It remains to be seen now that we've stopped for so long. But if this one starts to get neck and neck in the fourth quarter, I don't think we're going to see any issues with it in the third. As we're 2 minutes officially, we've just got word from the restart here, so the players will take to the benches soon. But in the fourth quarter, hey, this could get pretty interesting and could start to rear its head.
Well, I mean, if we're going to go with world first or everything, I'm okay with throwing an Elam ending out there. We may as well just do an Elam ending at this point. How about we just say, what were we at? 44
minutes to go.
First team to 80 wins. And we just go from that. I'd be okay with that. Let's shake out spirit of the game.
For those
First
at home
team
that
to
don't
80.
know the Elam ending, it's a new ending in basketball popularised by the famous basketball tournament over in the States, the aptly named basketball tournament, which Mitch Creek plies his trade in sometimes in the off-season, where the first team to 80, you add 7 points on to the end, and then it's the first team to get to that number. So it is an interesting end, and it's one that basketball, I think, eventually could see. It's an entertaining style.
I definitely agree. And playing in the TBT with the TMT, the money team, Jordan Crawford and I from the Tassie Jack Jumpers actually played in that tournament 2 years ago. I was meant to go back last year, but ran out of time. But it is pretty cool. With 4 minutes to go, it's the next dead ball possession. Whoever's up at that point in time, you add that number, 7 points, 8 points, whatever it is, and it's first team to that number. So it was actually really good. The person who made that last bucket was basically a cult hero because it is a game winner. And there were people that were playing in certain branded shoes. It was a Puma-sponsored event. If you made the last Elam shot with the Pumas on, you got a cash prize of $1,000. So for me, sponsored by Puma, Puma Australia, shout out to you. I didn't get any game winners, but we definitely were in a great position for a lot of those, and it's a very exciting end.
Certainly, and I'll tell you what, if I was out there, I'd probably be wearing Reeboks myself, but that may just be me. But we're about to get this one back underway.
Let's go.
And I'll tell you what, it has been 50 minutes. For those of you at home that have stuck with us from start to finish.
We love you. We appreciate you. It's felt like 5 hours for us, but we're glad that we're here. Let's get some hoops rolling.
Let's get some hoops rolling. A reminder to everyone, if they are just tuning in, there will be no shot clock for the remainder of this game. Both the coaches and players have agreed to, in spirit, play still under the same rules, but just without the shot clock present. So maybe an offense will go for 35 seconds. That cube there is the bane of our night right there. Boo it if you're at home. Boo that square.
We get some hoops, though. That's what I'm excited about. And as we keep saying, give a big credit to both teams, coaches, players for giving us this second half. So, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing from Pat Miller, though.
Are there no fouls anymore? Can we foul?
But that's a good thing that Pat Miller's clarifying. There will still be 8-second violations. There will still be 3-second violations and 5-second violations. It's just there will not be a shot clock. And we will see which team decides to just push it ever so slightly.
50 minutes later, we are back underway in Cairns. Jalen Adams looks to draw first blood for the Sydney Kings. It was the Cairns Taipans with a late flurry to get this back from 11, and a lead that was sitting at 20 points at one stage with the Kings, as Adam takes it straight through, gets that one stolen by McCall. And it'd be a big first bucket if the Cairns can get it. Bulkawal can't get that one to fall. The Rows continue 2 for 19 from the three-point line. That's one thing that hasn't changed throughout that 50-minute stanza.
It's really strange watching this game right now. Typically, you're looking up at the shot clock every 2 seconds. I'm looking at the shot clock thinking it's not ticking. What are we doing? But Sydney get on the board right now with a beautiful finish.
DJ Hogue with the first bucket for the Kings, and the Taipans once again
hello.
the zone that has caused them problems, but looking to do it on the interior after no success from the outside in the first half.
This is the worst possible game to see Sydney go back to a zone, because it's the one thing that might slow down the Taipans. But Denzel Valentine might have got away with a travel. The foul was called first on to Gia McCall, and DJ Hogue wants his old teammate and good friend teed up, which is probably the last thing everybody needs after such a break. Creaky's finished 2 bags of lolly bananas in that time.
I've had about 13 12s and 7 boosts, and we're still going strong. I've got one in my hand, and I'm proud.
Draws the foul on McCall. That lead pushed out to 13. The Taipans have just done a good job, as you said, from just fighting back, but the last thing they need right now is for this lead to continue to push out. Hunter. Again, the Taipans pressuring in the early going. Pat Miller just taps it away. He had a great first half, leading the way on the inside for the Taipans.
Real spread of scoring for the Taipans. Everybody just chipping in ever so little to tick that scoreboard over, because remember, they really struggled early on. Just 2 of 19 from 3.
Valentine, hard drive, another hands foul for the Cairns Taipans. And the fans, after waiting 50 minutes to see their team whistled, the 2 early ones are certainly not happy. 3 early fouls for the Taipans.
2 on Tajima call, 1 on Pat Miller, and to be honest, it's there because Pat Miller's forearm is one of the strongest of all time.
You got to remember the players have been sitting there as they get the bucket quick there, and again continue to push this lead out. But the players have been sitting there waiting to hoop. The refs have been waiting there, waiting to whistle. Antonio, the much-needed bucket from outside. The sniper can't get it done. Hunter pulls down the board.
And we talked about that. That's that one pass, quick 3-point shot. We just want to move the ball side to side, get second and third side in your offense. Then you can get that one from Antonio. But right now, Sydney have come out strong in this second half.
Adams with a quick step back. Gets that one to fall, and the Kings have picked up where they started off.
That's they want.
Alice Kunak courtside.
Now, we just saw Adam Ford come over to Dave Stevenson. He wasn't happy with those 3 early fouls. I won't say what he said, but he wasn't too happy. But this is where Cairns Taipans really have to come together and play strong defense. Obviously, both teams have had to sit for a while, but I'd like to see them come out with a bit more fire in their defensive effort.
Well, luckily, Alice, I think the delay was so long, we've pushed into a new time slot. We might not have to beep anything out from now on. There's another foul. And if Adam Ford wasn't happy before, I can only imagine the words coming out of the mouth after a 4th, and you can understand his frustration right now with, you know, fouls, Pete, that appear to be there.
Yeah, I think it's just a little overzealous on Cairns' part, and to be fair, I mean, that's a foul. To be fair, that's a foul as well. So right now, the referees have set a tone the first couple of minutes that you're being physical, you're being too physical, pull it back a little bit. They haven't adjusted. They've still got 7.5 minutes left of this quarter, but now you see what's going on is both Alex Tui and Josh Roberts, a little ginger, must have come down on each other's ankles. But, okay, we understand. We've had 5 fouls called on us in 2 minutes. It's time to just take a little step back or try and get in front, legal guarding position, because we're not doing that. And if we continue to send Sydney to the bonus, we've got 7.5 minutes of bonus free throws right now.
Not exactly what the Taipans nor their fans were hoping, as Alex Tui just uses his body. So impressive for the 19-year-old, the way that he can just use his stature and get to the rim.
He's got such a nice frame, and he's well built, he's strong, he's tall, he's athletic, and he can go both sides, and that's a big thing for NBA scouts. If he can do that, his versatility is going to show, and defensively he's done a great job just staying in front of guys as well all night.
The uproar of the Cairns faithful.
40 likes that one too.
Included.
No one left. Everyone stayed. Credit to the. I mean, we have some of the best fans in the world, haven't we? In this entire league, it's great to see. They're sticking with their team, who needs to switch on here in this 2.5 minutes. They have come out really flat, somewhat understandably, but Sydney's been on fire. That's going to help from Pat Miller. That's his forte, that mid-range jump shot. He's into double figures now with 10 points, 5 of 8 from the field. He's got 5 turnovers. That's uncharacteristic for a player of his caliber.
Adams with a quick pass to Hunter, rolling down the middle. That one just rolls in. Shorty Hunter proving too dominant down the middle of the court. For those just tuning in, the shot clock is off due to technical issues, so both teams playing in the spirit of the game, but do not expect a shot clock violation. And this one is McCall with a quick move. But Geordie Hunter doing it on both ends. Too strong upstairs.
I don't mind that by Taj just there, understanding that they haven't had the 3-ball drop. Just 2 of 20 from the field tonight, and they're standing off him, making him and daring him to make plays and shoot that ball, but gets his head on the rim. We just need the rest of the Cairns Taipans to move on offense a little bit to get that ball side to side.
Miller probing, looking to get to that mid-range. It's been successful. McCall in the corner. Can't get that to fall.
And that's going to be free throws.
Hunter pulls down the rebound, and as you say, Pete, they're in the bonus, so any foul is free throws from now on, just to further delay the contest.
He doesn't like it, but they're there. That's the astounding thing. I mean, rebounding contests are tough because you want to have your players go and crash the offensive glass, and especially when it is a big weakness for the Sydney Kings. I said in the first half, they do give up a league-leading 14 offensive rebounds, so just got to adjust now.
Don't forget the Harlem Globetrotters 2024 World Tour. Do not miss your chance to be a part of the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters Global Tour as they take the court with moments of extreme basketball innovation and unparalleled fan fun. As someone who has been to one of these events, take the kids, take your grandma, take your wife. It is action-packed. And I'll tell you what, fan interaction like never before with the Harlem Globetrotters. Fantastic to see them back. Get your tickets at harlemglobetrotters2024.nbl. Antonio, the much-needed bucket from outside, gets that to fall. And just as The Kings drift that margin back out to 20 points. The Taipans are on the fight back. Adams straight through the middle, and there's a reason he's an MVP contender every time he steps foot in this league.
He's so impressive in transition. He's got great body control, and he can go both ways. He can shoot the ball, and he creates for his teammates, as we saw before.
Antonio, back-to-back from Jonah Antonio.
It's got to feel good.
The Taipan sniper, and that's the sort of stuff they're going to need to get them back in.
Seems like the whole makeup of the Cairns team has to have the quickest release in the league. They've Merco Jerry's for a few years. That was an unbelievably quick release. And now Jonah Antonio gets that thing and lets it fly. He's hit 2 in a row. Pat Miller's talking to him right now, saying, come get a heat check.
Pat Miller, as he looks, gets that one deflected. Alex Tui with the steal. And the Kings are off in transition where they're at their best. Jalen Adams with the quick round-the-back pass over to DJ Ho. Can't get that to fall. They're going to rally the offensive rebound and get another go at it. Tui down the middle of the floor. Gets it denied upstairs by Wardenberg.
What a block from Sam Wardenberg.
And the quick pass to the corner just stays in bounds. Kual jabs down. Can't find anything to work with. Antonio for 3 in as many attempts. Can't get it to fall. Hope with the rebound. Alice Kunek, courtside.
Guys, I know Cairns will be disappointing with their shooting percentage, especially from the three-point line, but I think they should be more disappointed with how they've let Sydney just get in the paint and do absolutely everything that they want. I think that's going to be the next thing that they're really going to have to talk about, and it's good to see Charles Hall get that steal. Off to the races. There we go. That's what we want.
Upstairs. And reverse slam that home, and as has been happening, the Sydney Kings push this one out to 20, and the snake pit fires back up, and here come the Taipans.
Never out of it. Cairns, they got this ability to flick a switch, and it was probably more prevalent last season, where they nearly did it in every single game. It wasn't just in the fourth quarter. Like, we know Tasmania's a team that's always going to be there in the fourth quarter. There's another block there from the Taipans, but they just flick this switch and they go on these runs as Antonio
from outside turns down the 3, gets it right in the middle. Miller to the big body down low. And a timeout to the Sydney Kings. A 20-point lead whittled down to 12. In a very short amount of time. The Harvey Norman replayed right now. The Cairns Taipans finishing this one much like they finished that first half, Mitch Creek.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It all comes from the defensive end. Tajir McCall gets the steal and the beautiful reverse dunk. I didn't know he still had it in the legs as we head to the snooze timeout, but then gets the block on Adams, goes back down, makes another possession. And this is where they're dangerous. They get a bit of momentum. And you look before, it was a 10-point game at halftime. It went out to 20. Now it's back to 12. You're just solid. Everything can happen.
And again, Sydney started so strong in this third quarter, but those last few possessions, and again, I know there's no shot clock and everybody is playing in the same conditions, but just slow it down a little bit. Let's get through a set. Let's try and get the ball side to side. Let's try and pick apart, okay, where's the success? Where are we going to have the gaps in this Sydney defense, in this Cairns defense? But right here we've seen Jonah Antonio. He's hit 2 threes. They got a steal and a dunk from Tajir McCall. And just these little breakdowns, just these little steps slow from Alex Tui rotating. Should never help off the strong side. And this block from Sam Wardenberg. Seen Alex Tui get a couple of those dunks, not this time. And here come the Snakes. Good timeout from the Kings.
It's plays like that, Pete Hooley, that block from Wardenberg is the stuff that fights you back into this game. The crowd's up and about after what was a tough start. 4 early quick fouls, and of course the Cairns Taipans still sitting in the bonus. Every foul is sending the Kings to the line, so still a lot of work to do. But the Sydney Kings, as much as the Taipans have been able to answer back, the Kings have been able to push this lead out as this one's gone on. But again, courtside to you, Alice Kunek.
Look, Coach Abdul Mahmoud Fatah was pretty calm in that timeout. He set up a play and wants his players to get on the rim, but he said to his players, I don't want you to settle. Please don't settle. Keep attacking the rim.
Attack the rim is what they do, but Jonah Bolden throws it away. And once again, the Taipans off to the races. McCall draws the foul to whittle this lead to the closest it's been in a long time. 10 points with 2 made free throws here. And Adam Ford, a much happier man than he was when he was chatting to the CEO a little bit earlier.
He knows the camera's on, just giving us a bit of a smile. And again, everybody is experiencing the exact same conditions on both sides. But right now, which team is going to adjust? And in the end, it's going to be a story to tell for some time. But all that matters is the time, who's going to come away with the win.
For those just tuning in now, of course, no shot clock in this one. The shot clock, technical errors as McCall bricks that free throw. And unfortunately, we are playing in the spirit of the game with no official shot clock, but we haven't seen it rear its head so far. Two of the highest-paced teams in the league. I don't think it's going to rear its head too often as Sean Bruce tries to find something for the Kings offense that's just dried up.
And the amazing thing is we've seen no Jackie Moon sequences of play just yet. Just post feed, back out, post feed, back out. One more, back out again, Felix. And if you and me are out there, I know we would be head and shoulders. That would be our first play. Hit the timeout. Hey, let's go out, just keep feeding it.
You know why it'd be a 5-minute offense with me? Because I wouldn't miss a shot. If I went up, there's a chance it was missing as Galloway just stems the bleeding there.
I do believe it was your first debut game. How did you play that?
0-7. Statistically 0-7, the worst debut in NBL history as Wardenberg just blows that layup. And the Kings, will it be a 4-point turnaround? Galloway again getting into the paint as he's done. But a charge is Bobby Klintman.
Might be the best in the league.
In his way.
Might be the best in the league, Bobby Klintman. He puts his body on the line, and I was a little critical of it early because I think he's way too good of an athlete to continuously try and take charges, and he gets called for blocks a lot of the time when, not that one, but other times people try and get up to the rim, and I think he can be vertical and go up and meet guys at the rim a lot more than he does, but he'd be leading or close to charges drawn this season. He always finds a knack of helping out and getting on there. It's the Jim McCall. He is in ultra attack mode right now.
He's got his DJ Hogue on. If it was red rag to a bull early for DJ Hogue, McCall in that same spirit now, getting himself to the line as Pat Miller getting ready to check into a game. He's another person who's going to be able to put pressure on the rim, which is where it looks like the Kings are struggling to defend.
And the best thing about Bobby Klintman right now is the fact that when he takes that charge, he's on the ground, he's motivating his teammates, he's telling them, come on boys, let's go, get on my back defensively. And right now they're pushing the pace the other way, and it's putting Sydney in a bit of a bind. And they've got to really settle down right now. They had a great start to this third. They've got to settle the ship and just get it in the right direction.
McCall rattles that one in. He was 1 for 2 the last time to the stripe, looking to do one better here as the Taipans continue this fight back.
With the long delay, what would have been maybe handy from Cairns is you could have spent 40 minutes on a zone offense. You could have done, I was trying to figure out how do we attack this zone rather than settle for just shooting threes.
Just in the loading bay,
just draw up
a few coins and some old drink bottles.
McCall with the heavy pressure.
Joey
Valentine who loses the ball. Taipans off to the races again. McCall draws another foul, slips on the way through. But he's going to go back to the line where he's 2 of 4 on his last 4 attempts. But Alice Kunak, courtside.
Now, guys, we've just seen Jonah Bolden exit the court. Now, he's actually got 0 points so far, and he's just come off a huge game in Perth. What does this Sydney team need to do to get him more involved in this game?
I think it's just one of those matchups that isn't great for a traditional big against the Taipans. I mean, they play small a lot of the time. Sam Menenga's checking in right now, but Josh Roberts is an undersized 5-man, and they bring in Sam Wardenberg, who's not your unique back-to-the-basket big. So we've seen that with a lot of prominent legit centers so far. When you match up against Cairns, you can't play. I mean, we saw it last week with JLA wasn't as effective as we're used to seeing against this smaller lineup. So it is funky, and we're kind of seeing that from Sydney. Jordan Hunter's checked back in, but there was a few minutes there in the second quarter, which seems like an eternity ago, that they didn't play with a true center at all because of the way that Cairns have their lineup.
Tajir McCall struggling from the free throw line. Again, with another turnover from the Kings. The Kings giving the Taipans every chance to fight back into this one, but miss free throws when you're on the fight back is a bit of a coach killer.
It really is. And Tajir McCall right now, he's gone to the line. He's missed 5 free throws. You make even half of those, and you're at 4 of the 7 or 5 out of 7. This is at under 10 points, and Cairns are right in it. The crowd's right into it. They got momentum right now. They just need to keep getting stops, and that's not going to do it.
Glover gets the reverse attempt at goaltender. Now, Glover's a guy that's sort of, you know, we saw him as such an impact guy in the Grand Final Series last year against New Zealand. We thought coming into this year that we'd see almost a breakout year, but he has fallen back a touch in the rotation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the emergence of Tui as well was something that, I wouldn't say took the Kings by surprise, but the impact he had and the big impact he had so early. And Bobby Klintman, talk about how good he is at taking charges. He's a phenomenal cutter off the ball, as we see there. But one thing about Angus Glover, he stays ready for his opportunity. When a player goes down or the extra minutes pop up, he's going to take it with both hands and he's going to deliver.
Adams looking to work off the on-ball screen, gets fouled, and
you just got to be disciplined right now if you can. You've got to show hands, you've got to play with your chest, stay in front, verticality right now at the rim. But everything else, if you get beaten on that on-ball screen, you've got to switch it, you've got to call it early. You got to go and make this Sydney Kings lineup go and finish at the rim, because outside of Geordie Hunter, they don't have a whole lot of size on the floor.
Jalen Adams, one of the league's best scorers, sitting on 10 points. Pretty even scoring for the Sydney Kings across the board. The Taipans struggling from the free throw line. The Kings hurting them.
Every time they get down to 11 points, they just can't get into single figures.
That's often the battle. It's often the battle. As soon as you can get that mental imagery of single figures, it's a lot easier contest. But a credit to the Sydney Kings, who have just been able to find the right bucket at the right time to continue this lead just out of arm's reach from the Taipans.
As we suspected, the shot clock has not been an issue so far in this third quarter with the speed that both these teams are playing. As Jalen Adams has to sub out of this game with a blood rule. He's got blood, you see there, rolling down the shin. It shouldn't take too long to clean that up. Jalen Adams is saying, surely you've just wiped that away and I can be ready to roll.
Referees certainly won't need a trip to the optometrist for being able to notice that one. That is a good spot on the tattoo as well. Miller looking to steady the ship for the Taipans. He's had success from the mid-range, looks to go back, can't find it there. Hunter pulls it down.
It's going to be a travel there. Pressure.
Great pressure. The Taipans hold their breath every time there's a whistle, because it could result in free throws. For those just joining, no shot clock in this game. Technical issues, nefarious international hacking, we're not sure, but the shot clock is down. And we are playing in the spirit of the game. We will continue to go on. There will be no shot clock violations. Armstrong gets it into the paint.
That's going to count.
That's going to count.
The
points are good. Basket interference from Jordan Hunter, and a much-needed basket to stop that Sydney Kings run.
Didn't need to do it, Geordie Hunter, because that was going to be a tough shot for Taran Armstrong. If he makes that over an outstretched hand from Galloway, shake his hand and go down the other end. It's just good defense here from Taran Armstrong.
Pressing Bruce in full court. Bruce gets it into the corner. Turns it over. McCall off to the races. He's been successful in transition. Can't get that to go. Gets it back to Klintman. And Armstrong will just steady the ship.
Talking about not your traditional five-man Cairns. They will post up to Jim McCall because of his lack of outside shooting. That's a foul on Jalen Galloway. So now they're in the bonus. He's going to shoot two. I'm wondering whether
Cairns
pretty hard.
Chance to cut this to 12. They haven't had much success from the free throw line over the last few trips.
We knock a few free throws down right now, and I think Cairns have really got a chance to get back in this game. Taj has gone down, missed a few in a row, but I think right now Miller's got the chance to really go down, knock this pair down. Two more stops to end the quarter, and Cairns are right in this.
And we're seeing this again right here. So Jordan Hunter checks out, and they're playing small. They're matching the small ball of Cairns, which is what I continue to talk about with the unique chess game you have to play against Cairns. Do you try and continue with the way you like to roll up lineups and always have either Jordan Hunter or Jonah Bolden out there, or do you kind of say, okay, they've got Sam Menenga, who's not going to be an offensive threat to them on that end. Do we just kind of play small and bite that and try and get an advantage on the other side?
It's definitely a tough one you've got to kind of wrestle with, and I think Sydney right now, when they move the ball side to side, they get in some of that downhill. Got another little clock issue going on.
I'm calling it. Elam ending. Elam ending. We don't have to worry about it.
Just go to 88. Let's just go.
It was 3-point woes in the first half and somewhat in the second, but the free throw line has been the enemy for the Cairns Taipans over the last few trips. Both McCall and Pat Miller splitting the pairs. As the Kings looking to just stamp on the throat as they have and push this lead further out.
This might be the world's first 48-second possession.
Surely not.
Oh, no way.
You would hope not. Jalen Adams just dribbling the ball around. As we say, no shot clock. Technical issues. This could be the longest final possession in the history of the NBL.
Surely not.
I mean, I'll probably say now, maybe not in the spirit of the game. An interesting decision there to just play the clock out.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
Talked about it.
We did. And again, it is only the third quarter, but
Your thoughts on that, Pete? Obviously,
I don't like that.
Jalen Adams had the intention there.
I think he was going to go.
Like.
I think he was going to go at the end, but again,
when it was down to 3, you had to go when it was down to 3 seconds. Otherwise, it'd be a turnover.
He was holding in. As someone we've all been in this together, and then the fact that we get to watch hoops now, and I'm all for it. And let's play. I didn't like that. I just think the pace of the game up until
Convince yourself that was really cool.
Hey, you know what?
Realise that was not kind of cool.
It's DC multiverse round, and someone's got to be the villain. And right now, Jalen Adams just trying to play that role.
Well, technically speaking, now Cairns are going to have the chance to do the same thing.
Well, you got it, right? You have to.
I think you really do, don't you? It's kind of, okay, we just... No harm done. We both get a possession each to end the game under a minute to go.
Interesting substitution with Galloway out for the final possession of the game on the defensive end.
I think they're going to do it, to be honest. Yeah, they are. Absolutely, they're going to do it.
Here it is. No shot clock. They said there is an infinite difference between the shot clock and the game clock.
You want a 29-second possession?
We're going to do it.
We're going to have a 29-second possession.
Big possession here for the Taipans.
Cairns going to have a 10-minute possession.
Looking to head into the final turn with a bit of momentum. Miller through the lane, gets that to finish. Glover the worse for wear for the contact. Had 1 second to go. Careful avoidance of the foul there by Adams. And I'll tell you what, it is all happening in Cairns. 58-71, the Kings lead, but the Taipans are coming. Last quarter coming up next.
NBL24.com.au cheerleaders and the Japanese mini squad will be handing out some cupcakes as well too. And our winner of our $500 gift card thanks to Early Settler Stadium is Andrew Bell. Make sure you check your phone for details. Collect your voucher. Andrew Bell, congratulations. That was pretty easy to win a $500 gift card.
It's a 13-point lead to the Sydney Kings. They've been dominant, but the Cairns Taipans, they are coming. Alice Kunek, give us an update on conditions courtside.
Now, guys, it is still very hot in this Cairns Convention Centre, and the temperature is definitely rising. Now, we just have to be careful. Obviously, starting this game with so much time, injuries, there was a risk of injuries here. So let's hope we can finish this game in a good spirit with no injuries, guys.
Thank you, Alice. Right now, it is hot and sweaty. There's missed free throws, there's no shot clock, but we love the game, and let's keep hooping. Bill Kowal.
Let's go!
For the dream start for the Taipans.
Why not? Come on.
A 10-point lead for the Sydney Kings. It's been as far as 20. It's bickered back and forth from that margin. But the Taipans still alive in this one.
Would have loved to be a fly on the wall in that three-quarter time huddle for the Taipans. I reckon there would have been a few words said about the ending of that third quarter. They got to within 10. Can they get in single figures? They haven't been there since the start of the game.
The Cairns Taipans have done a good job of getting those deflections on those extra post passes. The Harvey Norman replay. Bull Kowal with the dream start for the Taipans. The crowd involved early. The three-point line has been their enemy throughout this game. But if there's ever a time for them to pick it up. It is now. And the Sydney Kings with an offensive foul, not the start that Mahmood would want from his unit.
Here's the chance right here to get it within single digits. They haven't managed to be able to do that since the opening quarter. One good look here, one possession, all of a sudden the mindset changes. And the Sydney Kings, again, this is all too familiar territory. Just letting a team back in when they've played so well.
And a credit to the Sydney Kings as the Taipans have continued to fight back into this game. They've continued to push that lead out. Wardenberg with a good rebound. Kual again from the outside, contested. Can't get that to fall, and Jordan Hunter, as he has done all night, gets it stripped away. Tajir McCall can't get that one to fall. And Antonio comes up with the offensive rebound.
There's a big play.
McCall, a big shot from the corner, can't get that to fall, and the Sydney Kings get out of jail.
What is going on?
Tui with a 6-point turnaround, can't get that to fall. And the Taipans are off and running. The air conditioning's broken. It's hot and sweaty. The shot clock's down. But Pat Miller through the paint, can't get it to fall. But for the first time in a very, very long time, the Cairns Taipans can cut this to single digits.
And that's what the crowd's ready to erupt for. Those missed threes from Tajir McCall, offensive rebounds, they just want to explode. They want to see their home team win a game that we talked about for a very long time.
We mentioned the Sydney Kings road struggles this year, 3-5, and the win's not that convincing. This is one they do not want to let slip out of their grasp. And a credit to them as the Cairns Taipans continue to struggle from the free throw line. The Kings, Mahmood, that team has answered the challenge from the Taipans and continue to not let them get this one too far into the single figures.
8 of 15 from the line, 8 of 16, and those two weren't even close.
And you look at Pat Miller just wiping his hands down on his shorts. Is the humidity right now starting to play a part?
Is that the case, or is it just I shanked 2 free throws and let's blame something else right now and not look too bad? But knowing Pat Miller, he's a great free throw shooter.
Galloway, a much-needed 3, can't get it to fall. Valentine and Bookwell fight for it down low. Gets it out, Hogue diving on the floor, Jonah Bolden on the floor, and Adams comes up with it, a dagger. Can't get the bank to go.
Here we go, can they get
Cairns Taipans? Kawal pulls up from deep.
This is pickup game vibes.
There's a lot going on right now, boys.
There is a lot of stimuli left, right and centre right now, but unfortunately for both teams, not only is the shot clock broken, but the rims appear to be broken as well. Brick left, right and centre to open this one up, Mitch Creek.
It is a whirlwind adventure as we go to the snooze timeout. I'm not sure what the message is right now, Felix, but I think you can't really go in and say, let's just slow the pace down. I think the boys are at their wits' end of exertion, physically, mentally. You're sitting around, you're waiting. It's a tough environment to play in at the best of times in Cairns. It's humid, it's hot. You break the AC, everyone's sweating. This is basketball, this is why we love it. You never know what's going to happen, Pete Hooley.
Tell you what, this is one of those games where if you can snake out of here with a win, all things considered, it's almost worth double. Alice Kunak courtside.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you want to go?
What are they saying now, Felix? What do you got to do? Sydney Kings, pressure's on you. Cairns Taipans are creeping down the back of your neck.
Well, right now, the Cairns Taipans, Mitch Creek, they've been getting good looks from the field, and so have the Sydney Kings. You know, both teams, you can look at it and say there's not necessarily anything going wrong. No one's purposely trying to miss shots, but the team that makes them, you start to think that they might be able to get this done. And one more chance at it, Alice Kunak courtside.
Guys, it is a make-or-miss league in this basketball game, but if I'm Adam Ford, I am a little bit furious. They've given up too many opportunities to get ahead in this game. Are we looking at the same team that had 115 points on Melbourne United last week? I'm not too sure.
A week is a long time in basketball, and we're seeing that from the Cairns Taipans right now, Hooley.
Well, both these teams play again this round, don't forget. So all of this, which is why we keep saying that to get through the end of this game and then recover and look forward. But you're right, Cairns have had so many open looks and just unable to finish. And there's going to be another turnover, so another chance to get within single figures.
We have to give credit to the Sydney Kings as well. Fans wanted a change on the defensive scheme, sitting there 7th on defensive efficiency. So far held pretty potent offensive team in the Taipans to just 61 points. So the changes they've made have worked.
Yeah, they definitely have, and I think Cairns, one good possession here. Get that buffer below 10.
Antonio has been tough from outside so far. Can't get that to fall, and the lid remains on the rim over the last few minutes. A little over 7 minutes to go, a 10-point lead to the Sydney Kings. The shot clocks, they are no longer working. We are playing in the spirit of the game. Up and back.
As far as we know. We may have seen a couple of instances.
If this tightens up, we may see a different strategy as Bill Quall just fights that one away from Jonah Bolden. Pat Miller in the open court. Wardenberg hasn't found the rim too much tonight. It's McCall, who's someone who has. Gets a hard foul there, and he's going to go to the free throw line.
2 of 7.
Has not been a friend to the Cairns Taipans.
They have had, I think, 4 free throw attempts and 3 threes to break this into single digits in the last couple of minutes, and have missed all of them. So Jonah Bolden has chances fouled out of this game. So he's done just 14 minutes, no score, 4 rebounds. And again, it is a very hard matchup against a team without a traditional centre. And we're going to see that throughout the entire season.
It is. There's certainly no judging players. The bigs especially coming up against his very tough lineup. But Jonah Bolden, a guy that's been spoken of after last game with Boomer's potential, the way that he was playing. We mentioned he was a rotation player in the NBA. The way he was looking against the Perth Wildcats, you can certainly make an argument that the Boomers team, as the Taipans continue to struggle from that free throw line.
It's a lonely place when you start getting the yips there, Felix. I've had my struggles earlier in the season. Peter Hooley absolutely rinsed me for missing enough free throws to fill up a shopping cart full of apples. But I turned it around. I'm confident. Yeah, a couple of hamburgers. But Hungry Jacks were very thankful that I donated a whole bunch of these beautiful cheeseburgers to some wonderful fans.
I don't think that's how it works. Comes out of their pocket, actually.
It's McCall with a steal on the inbound, and that might be just what they need.
They've got the energy right now.
Finally, we sit at single figures for the Cairns Taipans. The Sydney Kings have answered back every time they've been challenged. Will they be able to do it tonight? As Bruce turns down the open look from 3.
They're going to have to stop this game right now because Bullquall went down and he's pointing straight away. They need to wipe the floor. Talking about the no air conditioning in the arena, so the sweat, the humidity, and there's the turnover. Good save from Pat Miller and Tajim McCall. His good mate was ready to benefit, and you're right, they're back in single figures. They haven't been since the first quarter. And here's Bullquall, who's got hit by Geordie Hunter's screen. And right now, basically, when any player goes down, they're going to have to stop the game just to wipe the floor up because safety is the #1 priority.
You look at the poise there by Sean Bruce, knowing, of course, there's no shot clock in this game right now, and they're the ones holding on to that lead.
Another foul on Bullquall. That's his 4th.
The ref's just making sure this one doesn't get out of control. 63-71. The Kings had as big as a 20-point lead 2 separate times in this game, and the Cairns Taipans have fought back to within 10, and they've finally cracked the single figures. 8 points. Adams. Doubled up top. Finds Bruce. Tui again uses his size down low. Too big, too strong. Can't get the finish to go.
Adam Ford's going to, Adam Ford's going to trust his guy, Tajim McCall, but that looked like every bit of a foul. I don't think you're wasting. You've got 2 timeouts left, so Adam Ford's asking.
It'll be a tough challenge. Absolutely. It looked like the contact was there, but we can sometimes get tricked in real time.
Some players are in the circle of trust. Tajim McCall definitely would be, but he said, don't do it.
Tough one. Looks like he certainly split the 2 arms there, but it's a lot easier when it's slowed down. Now, the argument to the humidity and the free throws, I think it's starting to gain a bit of ground. Alex Tui also unsuccessful from the stripe.
For those who have just joined us, burgers have already been given away. That was 4 hours ago.
The burgers, you're almost up to a
Big
Whopper.
Max. Here we go. The Whopper.
Gets that one to go. The basketball gods can finally open their eyes again. A free throw has gone down. 9-point lead to the Sydney Kings as Miller looks to get back into the paint. And a rebounding foul on the ground.
I don't mind the attack from Miller right there, but I really think he's got to understand the game right now is still single digits. Coming down ISO 1-on-1, trying to shoot over 2 of their bigger players. Driving kick, move the ball side to side, get downhill. Tui does a great job of being vertical, but Looks like Galloway just there gave Taj a little one.
Kual. He's hit big shots when they've needed them. Gets the defender on his knees. And he's going to get fouled and sent to the line, which again, is that a place for the Cairns Taipans want to be right now?
Oh, I've got faith in Bullqual. He's 2 of 2 tonight. The team is 8 of 19, but I've got faith in Bullqual to step up and knock these 2 down. And
well, if you want all the extra info on the NBL, you can unlock the ultimate fan experience this season, and it's all free through NBL Plus. NBL Plus powers up your NBL experience with access to in-depth stats, classic NBL moments, partner offers, and much, much more. Sign up for NBL Plus. It is free via the NBL app or NBL.com.au. The Taipans finally managed to hit. You could see the relief on Adam Ford's face.
I told you, you have faith in Bullqual. He's knocked down a 3 in this quarter. Steps up. He's going to drain these 2 free throws and can smell some blood.
And a commentator's curse. It comes in all shapes and sizes, and tonight it is in the shape of Peter Hooley. And the Kings away. Galloway in the open break. Gets it to Hogue. Straight back.
That's pretty.
To Alex Tui, who again just too big and too strong down low. Very pretty basketball from the Sydney Kings.
Actually, a little touch pass from DJ Hogue. That was nice. In transition. It's a long free throw rebound, so you're not set up for that transition defense to get back. And Antonio going to sit down with 4 fouls. I was incorrect. Bullqual's only got the 3 fouls. So Jimmy called 12 points. He's 2 of 9 from the free throw line. He does shoot it at 64%. Alex Tui steps up and drains that one. He shoots it at 63%, so very similar to Jim McCall. 17 turnovers for the Sydney Kings.
It's not going to win you a lot of games, and when the offensive rebounding hasn't been high for Cairns tonight, it's probably a little bit of a likely stat where Sydney have to look after that ball, especially 2 games this weekend. Could be in trouble if they do that on Sunday. You never know who they're going to play.
Oh, hello. That's a
Clintman from the corner.
That's foul.
And one.
The next star, here we go.
And the scouts in the crowd will be happy to see that, but can he get it done from the free throw line to top it off? That's been the kryptonite in the DC universe tonight for the Cairns Taipans.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with it myself, Pete.
But yeah, this is just overzealous on the closeout. Bobby Clintman didn't really jump forward, just took out his landing space, and they're straight on the phone. That's what happens. You do something, the next star does something good, straight on the phone.
You might be just seeing how late the food's open in Cairns, the way this one's going. He's a big boy.
This is well and truly on this ball game right now, which makes me a little nervous because we saw what happened at the end of the 3rd with no shot clock in a close ball game.
Clintman gets it to go. 6 points, the margin. A little over 5 minutes remain, a little under 6 minutes. And the Sydney Kings yet again asked to answer back. Valentine doubled up top. Hunter has been great. Can't get the and one, but he'll go to the line, where a majority of this final term is being played.
90% of this final term has been played at the free throw line, and they've been fouls. And we might be getting a challenge here from Adam Ford. He keeps asking about it.
He has been inkling to get that challenge.
And that's because Tajima McCall's fouled out of the game now, so that's why he was looking at it. So, in hindsight, I still think it would have been hard to overturn that 4th personal that we looked at, because but if you're ever going to have done it, it would have been one to do it to save that 4th personal foul on one of your leaders.
McCall's been doing a great job of putting pressure on the rim. You'd expect that to be shifted over to Pat Miller to carry the load. In this final 5.5 minutes as the Sydney Kings. You'd have to question the humidity in that gym right now. These players don't miss free throws all that often. And it has been a nightmare on both ends of the floor.
And the pressure's really going to start to get to Sydney if they don't get...
Hunter gets his own rebound, taken away again. Pat Miller's off. Attempts to thread the needle. A foot violation of
I'm not sure
Valentine.
it was. I think... So you can't... You're hearing the referee say you can't challenge this, but I don't think that was a foot violation. So I was having a look at it here, and absolutely. It's just a lost call, but it's not in the rules to be able to challenge it.
It's harder for the referees in real time to see that one go. Miller. 6 points the margin, the closest it's been. Can't get that to fall.
And this is where...
And Adams,
you want the ball
slow it down.
In that man's hands, Jalen Adams. But what Cairns have been doing all quarter, they're just running traps. If you're going to hold the ball here, they're just going to run and speed you up, and they've been doing a good job to force turnovers against Sydney. If you're going to set a ball screen, they're coming to get you. That's trouble.
Galloway left lucky to get away with it.
And this is where the shot clock pressure would really come into play, but obviously we don't have one right now. We're going to move that ball around, but Cairns are doing a great job staying in front. Good verticality.
Strong through to the rim, can't get it to go. But they're going to retain the baseline out of bounds here.
This is the conversation before, Felix, is no shot clock. What happens when this game's close and that time's ticking down? Are you going to hold it for a little bit longer?
I know the spirit of the game's one thing, but getting a much-needed win is another. And that's going to be an offensive foul on DJ Hogue.
Big time defense from Bulkwall just when his Taipan side needed it. 4 minutes 50 remain, a 6-point margin. Sat at 20 points early in the second half. The Taipans have just fought their way back, but the Kings every time have continued to answer. Will they be able to do it down the stretch? Courtside with Alice Koenig.
Guys, we just have had some confirmation that air conditioning has been turned back on. It hasn't cooled down in here just yet, but we're hoping it does. We've got the floor wipers working hard. Bobby Clipman's working hard, and the Cairns Taipans fans are up.
Let them know, Bobby Clipman.
Bobby Clipman, the next star, currently sitting at number 17 in the NBA mock draft. I reckon that might just be going up as Galloway looks to return the favour.
Missed a couple.
Here we go.
Get it done, and the Cairns Taipans.
Get on your feet, boys.
All the momentum.
This place is going to erupt.
Why not? Shoot it, young fella.
We're already to the dismay of the crowd.
Here he goes.
Come on, baby.
Doesn't get that to fall. The big rebound from Wardenberg. Thinks he was fouled. The ref disagrees, and the Kings once again come up with a big stop.
Floor up's going to have to get that.
3-point margin. Valentine from outside. Can't get that to go, and the man of the moment.
They're going to have to stop this game because of that fall from Sam Wardenberg. They're still cleaning up down the other end.
And the fans are alive. The Cairns Taipans, the closest they have been.
Jeez, he's fun to watch, Bobby Clipman.
So that's a big-time shot right there. He knows it too. Bit of a heat check the next one. We like the confidence. Even that one from the Kings. Just
I understand that
shot.
Denzel Valentine, but he hit 2 threes in the first quarter and hasn't really taken many shots since. So we know he can knock it down, but I think just time, score, situation, they're better off just trying to get through a set. They've had a lot of quick shots. Galloway's had 2 quick ones.
What looks to potentially be a loose ball foul.
Here comes momentum now, boys.
And it won't be. That man right there, the Cairns Taipans are going to have to do it without their fearless leader in Tajir McCall. Fouled out of the ball game. But right now, the momentum needle heavily swinging the way of the boys in orange. Little under 4 minutes remain for those just tuning in. No shot clock in this. Will we see it rear its head as teams look to use the clock if the Kings are able to make a small lead? Will they use the clock?
Well, what doesn't help is that if that happens, they're going to intentionally foul, and that's going to hurt Cairns. They're 10 of 22 from the free throw line, having all sorts of troubles as a team.
Wardenberg to tie the game, can't get that to fall, but Miller the rebound, and one gets the bucket to go. He's going to go to the line. Tie this game up at 74 apiece.
40's got the itch, he feels that he knows what's coming. Tied ball game, we're calling it right now.
You're not calling overtime.
No, we're not going overtime today, boys.
The hardest part of this.
It's past my bedtime and midnight is curfew for everyone out here on the roads tonight.
The hardest part right now will be the free throw conversion. It's been a nightmare from the line in this final term for the Cairns Taipans, Pete.
It's been a nightmare all game. 10 of 22. Tajir McCall was their worst defender, 2 of 9. But Pat Miller's 1 of 4. He shoots 76% from the free throw line on the season.
His biceps aren't exactly conducive to free throws, it would seem. But again, the humidity in that stadium right now gets that one to go. We have a tied ball game. The Cairns Taipans have erased a 20-point second-half lead from the Sydney Kings, who are 3-5 on the season on the road. And right now, this one is potentially slipping out of their grasp.
Normally, you pay double for that kind of action, Cotton.
Adams. Oh, my. Manages to draw the foul. He's come up with big buckets all night to stem this Taipans run. None bigger than these two at the line with a little over 3 minutes remaining.
And it's a little tricky here because you see the way the Cairns have played this fourth quarter, right? Anytime they bring the ball over half court, if you bring a screen up or you bring someone close, they're just going to run and double, get the ball out of Jalen Adams' hands. So if I'm Denzel Valentine, I'd be inclined to let him run the point guard position where you get over the half court line, call up Geordie Hunter. If they try and trap, that next pass out will go to Jalen Adams. And then the ball's in your superstar's hands, your MVP's hands. Let him go to work and make the appropriate play. When they're trapping early, the ball gets out of his hands, he might not see it again. So it's a fine line, but I would be not against getting Denzel Valentine the ball in his hands.
Adams leads the way for the Kings with 15 points. Make that 16. Clinton. Cairns Taipans happy to swing the ball around. No shot clock. Kowal from outside. Rattles out. That would have sent the roof off.
Would have put them in front for the first time since early on in the first quarter.
And the Kings with a big possession.
Might have been the opening point of the game. And here's what I'm talking about. So,
Adams happy to just draw this out and potentially draw a foul on Clinton. It gets away with the small hook. And again, the Sydney Kings, there is no shot clock in this game. Coaches, players have agreed to play in the spirit of the game.
Oh, boy.
But right now it appears...
fan favourite anymore.
Right now it appears that the Sydney Kings have gone against that original promise. Adams through the paint. Gets all the way in and gets the bucket. Too strong down low for the perennial MVP candidate, Jalen Adams.
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it?
That might have been a foul, and the refs might have let that one go because he might have just been
Armstrong
a little more than
into the paint, gets that one to drop bucket for bucket.
And if you're Cairns now, you're going to have to be that full court pressure, right? Get the ball out, try and speed them up.
And right now, we said, will this rear its head? No shot clock towards the end of the game. Good pressure on the inbounds from the Taipans. But how much of that clock will the Sydney Kings drain off right now? 1:45 remains.
I mean, here Adam Ford saying you have to get up. So both teams are in the same position. It's just Sydney with the
right
lead.
Now it's on the Taipans to pressure Adams.
That's the hard part, isn't it? Because you want to try and speed them up, and if you're gonna inevitably foul, then you're gonna go to the free throw line for an easy two. And we called this was going to be an issue, didn't we?
Peter, your thoughts on this from the Sydney Kings? Now I will say it's gamesmanship. You play to win a game, so I cannot. You cannot knock what the Kings are doing here, but right now they do appear to be taking advantage with a small lead of the lack of shot clock.
Again, I'd like to say that I wouldn't do the same in the same situation, but wins are so hard to come by.
Guilty, I'm doing the same. You want to win.
It's going to be hard to come by. I know you've shaken hands to get to this point, but with the circumstances and the rules that are in play right now, it is the way that is going to go forward. And again, if the Taipans are up too, who's to say that they wouldn't do similar? I mean, as I personally don't like it because we're the one we've been through tonight, but it is what it is. There's still 100 seconds to go in this ball game. Plenty left to play out. He's still got to go to the free throw line and make 2 free throws, which hasn't been easy for both teams so far in this last quarter.
Free throw lines have been the enemy, Mitch Creek, but 1:38 to go. You look at this, Adams, milking the clock, not really making an attempt to go anywhere. We saw it last time. It was the possession previous to this. It was most definitely over 24 seconds on the shot clock, and then just sheer brilliance from Jalen Adams. He can get that one, whether it's 10 seconds, whether it's 40 seconds, there's a reason.
It's still a tough mate.
The next MVP.
That's still a very phenomenal, mate. It's incredible to play at that kind of level and have that kind of pressure from the crowd as well. And then, as you see, makes the bucket, comes down, lets them know about it in the Cairns Stadium. But right now, you can't blame him. I'm doing the same thing, Pete. I'm doing the same thing, Felix. I'm sorry, but
wins are hard to come by in the NBL, and they're also crucial. So I do understand where you're coming from there. And again, these are unprecedented circumstances. So right now for Cairns, I mean, you go and get a good bucket. Well, Jalen Adams gives you one here, and you're tied up. We've managed to somehow take the lead. Then that changes things back to your favour. But again, how many times have Cairns had a chance to get level and get ahead in the last quarter? If that was reversed, then this isn't a situation. But it is something we are facing now, and this is going to be a talking point, isn't it?
There is going to be no lack of storylines out of this game, but Jalen Adams goes to the line for the biggest free throw so far. Ice cold, gets that one to go. He leads all scorers at the moment. 76-79, a three-point lead for the Kings. A credit to them, they have answered back continuously during this fight back from the Taipans.
Knocks
2
down
for
both.
2 from the stripe, ice cold. Jalen Adams has been the man down the stretch for the Kings.
Cairns need a bucket here, and a good one.
Armstrong.
And you see Sean Bruce taking the matchup of Miller right now. He's been the guy tonight that's been hot.
An off-ball foul.
That's going to send...
Judging by the remonstration from Adams. It's going to be on him. That's going to send Wardenberg to the free throw line. Not what you want to be doing with 1:28 on the clock.
Hasn't seen one.
Especially with how hard you're working for the buckets on the other end.
Haven't seen one so far. And I mean, I know Sam Wardenberg's arms are crossed, but you can't. So have another look at that little bump first. Was not. It wasn't the arm. It was the bump to not let Sam Wardenberg get around. That was the initial contact. So here we go.
What does Sydney do here? Are you dribbling it out? Are you 4 or 5 ghost screens, slipping the on ball, and are you just taking it so there's only 1 or 2 more possessions?
Yeah, you're obviously not going to run a 90-second shot clock, that's for sure. But Cairns are going to try and speed them up. But you're trying to win a ball game right now, aren't you? And this doesn't help the situation at all because you get Jalen Adams to go to the free throw line where he's 8 of 8.
Well, the hard part is you can see the frustration from the Taipans because they know if they let Jalen Adams just get down there easy, he is going to most likely dribble the clock out. For those just joining us, no shot clock in this one. Unfortunately, due to technical issues, probably an NBL first for quite some time, a basketball first for quite some time. Both these teams playing without a shot clock.
It's going to be heavily spoken about, and not by us because we've done the heavy lifting. But Jalen Adams, I mean, he's stepping up and making that layup, that lefty layup, the balance that he can have getting in deep in the paint, but he's lights out from the free throw line right now. 9 of 9.
Big player just making big plays right now, and as much as we might not agree with what he's doing, he's winning a game for his team, and that puts him up the ladder, and that ladder's so congested we've seen right now. 1 win separates you from the pack.
And let's be clear with that. It's not illegal. Like these are with the rules and the parameters that are happening right now. It is well within that. And again, there's going to be a lot of people that agree with it. There's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with it, and that's just the matter of the situation right now. But
at the end of the game, Pete Hawley, all that matters is who wins and loses. And right now, the Sydney Kings with 1:15 on the clock are staring down the barrel of a win as Pat Miller gets into the paint and just gets this one back to a 1-shot ball game. Tui under pressure, gets it to Bruce. He's quite happy to pull that out.
That's where he's trapping right there, absolutely. That should have been
hands with the full court pressure.
Now look, that might have been a backcourt violation.
A minute remains on the clock.
So you just got to stay really solid. There's no need to foul. Just got to stay really solid.
Kings just happy with no shot clock.
Here we go.
To dribble this out.
Here now, boys. Let's go.
It's managed to get their hands on the basketball. 79-82. A 3-point lead for the Kings.
The man of the moment, Mr. Miller.
You almost want to shoot a 3 because of the situation that we're in.
Kawul all the way into the paint. Gets that one to go. It's a 1-point ball game. A timeout.
33 seconds.
Oh, no.
A little bit more than a regular shot clock. Felix
Time
Von
out to the Cairns Taipans. 33 seconds on the clock. In any other game, there would be a difference. And we just zone in here. A backcourt that was missed.
Absolutely.
No.
And I'll tell you what, if we're showing replays of things that should have been called and got missed, there's a lot we could find, but the refs have done a magnificent job, all things considered.
Oh, man, this is going to be very interesting,
It's very easy to miss little ones on the break, but I'll tell you what, we have ourselves one of the wildest and most entertaining basketball games and a conundrum that many coaches would never have faced in their lifetime. 33 seconds on the clock, no shot clock to speak of. It is broken, gone, finished.
So, yeah, this is an all-time... This will go down as a first ballot Hall of Fame predicament right here, won't it? Because if you're Adam Ford, you're probably speaking about... He will no doubt be telling his team there is a strong chance they will run this clock out. Because it is within the rules right now with what's going on. So how do we speed them up? How do we? You're going to have to foul eventually.
You're going to have to foul eventually,
when
but
it
you might
gets
just
low
have
enough.
to do that earlier. It's the question is, Mitch Creek, in this, how much time do you let sap off the clock, or do you go straight away and foul? Do you give it 2 traps, 3 traps?
Trap twice.
I really think you've got to face guard Jalen Adams right now. You can't let him touch the ball. If anyone else grabs that basketball, maybe a Tui, whoever's in the game, maybe not a Sean Bruce. He's been very clutch through his career and a big stand-up player in late-game moments. But if Adams has the ball or a Hogue, you are not fouling. You are trapping. If Tui gets the ball, I am fouling him straight away. He's missed a few at the moment.
Well, what is still on there's still an 8-second violation, so to not advance it like this, you can see the referee.
Hogue under heavy pressure in the backcourt. Oh, boy. Gets it up to Jalen Adams.
Be reviewed just in case.
One timeout left.
And what appears to be more frustration with himself, I'd imagine Miller. It looked to be that the contact was there.
Jeez, it was about 0.4 away from being a backcourt violation because that's still in play. He saw the referee count. He's going to challenge, and I think that's a good call. Yeah, you heard it. They're perfect. You've got to roll the dice. You've got one timeout to go. Let's challenge it.
We'll roll the dice on it. It's not like we lose anything with the shot clock.
That's a man who knows his challenges right there.
There you heard it. He saved up that challenge all game. He's been chomping at the bit to be able to use it.
I think they're going to lose it.
Oh, I don't know.
Not too much in it, Peter Hooley. There is not too much in it at all.
Bit of sauce on that one.
There has to be enough evidence to be able to overturn it. So there only has to be a touch of contact, and it looked to me as if there was, Mitch Creek.
I think the contact is...
The AC might have blown him over.
I mean, Pat Miller may have...
Might be the AC.
He's the strongest human of all time. So a little touch from Pat Miller could very well send you on the floor.
Is there any mayo on that from Jalen?
Yeah, there's definitely mayo.
How much mayo? Is the burger overcome by the mayo or not?
We may be heading down the Chipotle mayo territory, just ever so slightly. But this is a huge call. And
certainly not an easy task right now for the officials in the bunker to be able to work this one out.
So there you go, unsuccessful. Call on the floor is confirmed. It's going to send Jalen Adams to the free throw line for 2.
A smart roll the dice by Adam Ford. As he said,
anyway.
Nothing to lose there, and you know what? It was a lot closer than what it appeared in real time.
And in hindsight, jeepers, one more turn or just getting in front as a backcourt violation, you get the ball. But what it means is they're well and truly still in this game now. The shot clock goes out of it with 24 seconds to go. There's 2 free throws here from an MVP who's 10 of 10 on the night.
10 of 10 for the free throw line. Jalen Adams, he has been ice cold, and the reason that the Sydney Kings still sit here with a lead. The Taipans have been chasing and chasing and chasing, but it's been that man right there who has held them off virtually single-handedly down the stretch. Jalen Adams leads all scorers with 22. DJ Hogue chips in with 12. The Taipans, Pat Miller leads the way with 20. Tajir McCall fouled out of this game, will take no further part. And you see right there a man that you definitely want to keep on the floor, one of the most clutch players,
isn't he,
in the NBL? And you know what, for a guy that doesn't shoot all that much, he's the one that you probably want shooting at the little go to sleep.
It's very like, we talk, a lot of people joke around Andre Iguodala, but it's kind of the vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sean Bruce put the ball in his hands with the game on the line, he's going to deliver. 11 of 11.
There is no commentator's curse stopping that man. Ice cold in a humid stadium with the air conditioning broken. It has had no effect on the free throw. 11 of 11.
So here we go. The other ones that
Miss it, make it interesting. 25.5 shot clock. Why not?
No, he's not going to miss, is he? So here we go, Cairns. Really going to have to go for a 3 in this situation because of everything that's going on.
They've been fighting back all game. Looking to send it to OT. They'll take the easy 2.
Okay.
Pat Miller upstairs turns this back to a 1-point game. 19.1
Adams can't get the ball. Anyone but Adams got to get a foul.
Absolutely. There you go. Foul Alex Tui, the young gun.
Is that the man to foul right now? 19-year-old Alex Tui, your next star. He stood up late in games before.
5 of 6.
Have a look at the Harvey Norman replay right now. Pat Miller.
He's got these bunnies about him.
I'll tell you what, it's a dangerous move going upstairs on one like that. And you know what? Jalen Galloway not too far away. But he was an inch closer from giving away an and one there, which would have been a nightmare for the Sydney Kings. But Alex Tui, 18.2 will go up on the game clock. Now Alex Tui with the biggest free throws of his season so far. 11 points 5 of 6 from the free throw line.
Shoots 63% from the free throw line on the season. None bigger than this. The door's open.
Tight up.
Front rim on the first one, and as you said, Pete Hooley, the Taipans on the bench, they're fired up. The crowd is alive. A 20-point lead at one stage for the Sydney Kings in the second half. Splits the pair.
Big moment, young fella. Great job.
It is a 2-point game the Sydney Kings way. Pat Miller.
Be the hero.
Works his way into the paint. He's had success all night.
Going in there, superstar. He wants an extra 5 minutes.
Through the middle.
What a
Jonah
defensive
Bolden
stop.
with the biggest defensive possession of the night.
Wow.
Steals it from the hands of Pat Miller, something no one has been able to do throughout this contest. He has had his way through the middle of the paint, and Jalen Galloway, a potential Defensive Player of the Year candidate, says, you know what, Pat, I'll have that one.
I had him in the top 2 before he got injured, and for good reason. Plays like this, you can do it vertically, but gets crossed up a little bit, gets back in front, and then just rips it away. That is enormous.
Huge play. Just like Jalen Galloway, and of course he's drawn the foul.
Yeah, still, they've got no timeouts, so there's going to be a quick pass.
This is the first free throw, 2.4 on the clock.
Oh my goodness.
They're going to get a chance,
oh my goodness,
barring an offensive rebound.
It's going to happen, isn't it?
Split a pair.
Don't say it, Pete.
It's going to happen.
3-point lead for the Sydney Kings.
I'm not, I know you're trying to do a substitution, but you're giving him a chance to kind of set up a play here. Rather than...
No advancing the ball. They're going to have to take it the full length of the floor.
He's going to hit it.
I feel it.
He's going to hit it.
I feel it in my fingers.
It's just been a crazy night. He can run. Here we go. Jonah Antonio to overtime.
One last shot just takes too long.
I knew he would hit it.
To go, but unfortunately, I don't think he can. The celebrations have come, but it appeared.
Is there a delay of the game?
It appeared that the siren went.
What a night! What a night! I don't think he can. They're going to review it.
They're going to review this one. It is mighty close.
This is going to be close. It doesn't.
Jonah Antonio, he sparked this comeback.
I don't think it counts.
And as expected, after the siren, I'll tell you what.
My fingers. I told you, Pete Hooley.
I knew it
We've
was
had it all tonight.
There is not a thing this game lacked.
We can't even see the shot clock.
Oh, you can look at the backboard.
You see there, it was a lot closer than what it looked in real time. Jonah Antonio just takes one extra dribble and the bank was open. But unfortunately, the opening arrow is word maybe to be questioned.
The red light in the backboard as that ball is still in his hand. You just knew it was going in. What a game. What a night.
What a game of basketball, and a credit to both of these teams for being able to fight through challenge after challenge. The Cairns Taipans fought back from 20 points down, but the Sydney Kings, they leave victors because they were able to stave off the fight. And I'll tell you what, that was certainly a game of basketball.
That was a game of everything, wasn't it?
And right now, I'll tell you what, one man, Mark Mood, is going to be very, very happy with the way that one went. 3-5 on the road. He can improve that record. Alice is with Mark Mood now.
Coach, what a game of basketball. How are you feeling? Can you give us the rundown?
I'm not sure how I'm feeling right now.
Are we interviewing
the ebbs and flows of the game. I mean, both teams competed. They came back and battled. We withstood their runs. I'm just happy for the guys we got the win.
Like you said, you withstood their runs. How are you feeling? And what's the message to your team after that game? Are you happy with the performance?
Of course, congratulations. It's hard to win any night. Congratulations, I'm happy for the guys.
Now you go home on Sunday, you take on the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. What's the message, and will the zone stay around?
100%, we'll mix it up. We'll go back and watch some film and prepare for Southeast. I want the guys to enjoy this tonight, and then we'll focus on Southeast tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach. What a great win. Congratulations.
Well, very rarely you're going to say a game had it all, but this one certainly did. The Sydney Kings, 3-point victors. We'll wrap it up on the other side of this break.
in a game that had everything, the Sydney Kings 3-point victors, and that man right there was a vast majority of the reason. Led the scoring 24 points, but a ridiculous 12 of 12 from the free throw line when that was the kryptonite to both teams throughout this contest, but nothing was going to waver for Jalen Adams, a perennial MVP contender. And I'll tell you what, if there are games during the year that work for your campaign to being MVP, Mitch Creek and Peter Hawley, this game from Jalen Adams and the way that he finished this one out was certainly one of those.
Yeah, he's our Foot Locker player of the game, and he was tremendous. You take over, just the nerves of steel to go out there, which was a wild game. You said this game had everything. I've heard that from a lot of hosts before. I can't believe them ever again because this game quite literally had everything. That was a whole lot of fun. It was wild, but geez, you just love the NBL.
Well, let's have a look at the Mitsubishi Motors standings because, as we said, these games mean so much. The Kings, they jumped from 4th to 3rd there, and the Taipans, they still remain down there somewhat in desperate need of a win.
Oh, it's amazing, and right now the Kings have just put themselves in a position to clear themselves from the middle of the pack, and realistically they're in a great spot for the rest of the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, it had a 50-minute delay, it had missed free throws, broken air conditioning, broken shot clocks, but you two were right there with me through it all. Thanks for tuning in, plenty more NBL action coming up this week.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.
Yeah, but how did they decide? How did they decide whether they went over and asked the woman who's on the scorer? You couldn't see her. Yeah. No, well, but that's what he did. He went and asked her. Yeah. And he goes, so how did you know?
Well, we saw the replay. It's definitely after.
How did you see, what on the replay defined 0 on the clock? The buzzer.
Light coming on around the backboard.
No, there's none. No, there's none.